night. That's like how it's supposed to
Which is
come
a bit
out.
gross, by the way.
Yeah, I never notice it because it's just like, whatever, right?
Well, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. So are you saying you put it in, sleep with it so it goes further in the ear or goes straight out the ear?
I don't
Like
sleep
what
with
side?
anything in. I just let it work its natural course
When? Where? How?
every day.
What, in the morning?
Every day. I never use oil or anything. I just let my ears do what they're supposed to do.
Oh, and it comes out of your ear, you're saying?
Well, I mean, it should do. Like when you're sleeping, it should dry up and then flake out part by part. That's like the natural cycle of wax in your ear.
I'm with you. Okay.
That's what's supposed to happen. But I think the reason why I'm saying about sleeping is I think if depending on which side I sleep on, it tends to either clear or not clear as much.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is I have to sleep on my left side because if I sleep on my right side, my jaw locks. So my right ear locks more often than my left ear. Yeah.
Shit.
So it's literally like a thing where I either have a partially deafened right ear and no locked jaw, or a locked jaw and my ears are fine.
Locked jaw, is it? How is it? Is it just locked towards one side?
Locked jaw is actually partially a stress-related illness or like symptom. So basically, if you're too stressed at work or in anything, anxious about anything, you have something called TMJ, which is basically when you grind your teeth in your sleep, your muscles in your jaw sort of contract in such a way that your jaw can't open anymore.
Okay.
And I have that basically. So I grind my teeth in my sleep, and my jaw locks, but only if I sleep on my right side. It's taken me years to figure this out, by the way. I now know how to unlock my jaw properly. There's like certain exercises I have to do if I wake up with a locked jaw.
Really?
Yeah, this is every day, by the way.
Do you get scared about it?
Yeah, sometimes because there was one period where it didn't unlock for 2.5 weeks.
Could you talk?
Barely, and I could barely eat as well. I had to I had to like cut up my food really small and shove it in the little gap that would go in there.
How did?
And this is while I was working as well. This was like probably about a year ago.
Oh, mate.
I mean, I think for the last 2 months since the start of, I'd say February, from February to the end of March, my jaw locked every morning, every day for the last 2 months. And then since I've been off work, my jaw hasn't locked in the last week or so, maybe week and a half.
Oh, so and that seems to show the sign that it is a stress-related thing because you're off work.
As soon as I relax enough, my jaw relaxes and my whole body just loosens up and I'm fine again.
Oh.
So there you go. Real world problems. There you go.
Yeah. Fair play, man. Well, I'm glad you have problems because I have problems as well.
Everyone's got problems. The thing is, we can't compare each other's problems because then it becomes a competition and then we fall out. So we don't want to do that, do we?
No.
I'd hate to ever do that with someone, to be like, I have worse problems than you do. Yeah.
No. But also, it's difficult, isn't it? Because some problems don't bother me, whereas they could bother you, for example.
Yeah, exactly. It's to each their own on that one, definitely.
Like wearing glasses, for example. Like you wear glasses now, don't you? But I've worn glasses since I was little. So do they bother you, or don't? Do they?
If anything, I prefer having them on my face. I hate taking them off.
Because you can see, or
because I can see finally for the first time in like 10 years.
Absolutely.
I didn't know I was blind.
The great thing is, though, Jay, is that, like you say, it takes years to actually figure out that you've got, quotation problems.
Yeah, any amount of eye issue, yeah.
Yeah, well, of any bodily thing / mental thing, whatever.
Oh, mental, definitely, yeah.
At least when you identify it, you can start tackling
it. Get a solution, get some sort of either short-term or long-term solution, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, you sound very energetic today, Jay. So I heard you screaming on the mic a bit before I came back on, so I was finishing my lunch, and I couldn't help but think, is he getting stuck in Final Fantasy VII here? Like, what's the...
Oh. No, it's 13 I'm working on at the minute.
Still, okay. I was just checking, because... No, yeah, so how come you were, like... Because I think I took my headphones off, I could just hear you go, like... Oh, God! And
that was me stretching, but also very happy that I've finally found videos of people who are tackling the hard challenges on 7, so I can finally get some sort of insight into how to beat them efficiently.
Got you.
So as soon as I've finished 13, I'll look up some more videos and some more strategies and start working on that. And then as soon as I finish those hard challenges, I will finish it on hard.
Fair play, mate.
It'll probably take me a lot longer than 31 hours, but we'll see.
Well, Jay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the TGO show.
Here we are.
Hosted with your friendly neighbourhood Nick and Jay.
What am I,
Jay,
not friendly neighbourhood?
Oh no, I just think you are a friendly neighbourhood, but mine kind of like bounces because it's Nick on the end. Like friendly neighbourhood Jay, still quite bouncy.
Wow.
Still quite bouncy.
Wow.
Just not. I'm not sure if it is as bouncy as friendly neighbourhood Nick.
Yeah, all right, I got you. Whatever.
Would you like a nickname?
No, I'm good.
I'm more than happy for Locked Up Jaw J because that bounces right off the tongue.
Yeah, Lockjaw J sounds fine.
Okay, so remove the up. Lockjaw J.
Just Lockjaw, yeah, whatever.
just lock.
Just call me. That's actually quite a cool nickname, Lock.
Well, it's like the Tom Hardy film.
Yeah.
He's in the car the whole film. Have you seen it?
No, I have to look that one up. It's also like Lock and Key. Which I still need to watch. I've read it, but I need to watch it on Netflix.
Lock and Key, yeah. I've never asked you this, Jay, for fear of your answer.
Oh
but
no!
Are you really annoyed that I put the letter J instead of your name J on the TGO show description?
Oh no, I was a bit confused initially.
Okay.
But
then like, what the fuck? What can't you type?
I don't know. It was more just like befuddlement. I was like, why wouldn't he put my? I mean, it's technically the same sound, J and J. Right. It's just without 2 letters. So I don't know. Whatever.
It's just not as cool, man.
I guess,
it's not as cool with the kids.
I mean, I don't call you Nicholas, so
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
It's whatever, isn't it? It's whatever.
Well, I'm more than happy to change it back if you want me to.
I'm fine with it. It's all good.
Also, mate, you should just text me and just say like, "Oh, by the way."
No, it was in my mind. It was more of like, well, that's a creative decision or whatever he wants to do. I don't know.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
No, fair play, mate. So we've got a lot to talk about today, Jay. We've got a lot of things to discuss in the show. We've got Final Fantasy VII verdict from yourself.
Yeah.
Who has finished the game.
I have.
Big news. I'm tearing up.
And thankfully, a lot of people online have finished it and are discussing the ending, and because the ending sort of.
You, right?
I'm not going to say anything, but the ending sort of leaves it sort of open to new criticism / sort of like, because it's not the same game essentially. It's the same story but slightly different. So.
I think you're treading a bit too harsh there, Jay.
No, I think it's fine. It's. I mean, they even. Well, no, I think that's fine. What I'm saying is fine. Right. It really is. Like that. No one going into this.
Mate, you've played it. I haven't played it.
Well, no, I think no one going into playing it would be like expecting the exact same game.
Maybe some people will though.
That's the thing. This is actually something I want to bring up because you can compare this right to the Resident Evil remakes that have been done recently.
Yeah. Which are also on the show today.
Resident Evil 2 was an exact remake, right? It was the same and the same.
Yeah.
Right? Same story, same missions played out. Everything was 100% the same. I want to say it's the same for Resident Evil 3 as well. But a lot of people are having problems with 3 at the minute because it's exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
So I think what FF7 have done, either intentionally or non-intentionally, have seen Resident Evil 2 and potentially part of Resident Evil 3 and gone, oh, we don't want to make the same mistake they did because they're getting more criticism from their game than we want for ours. I mean, we want a level of criticism, but we just don't want it as harsh as what they do or what they are having right now, right?
Well, yeah, okay, sure.
And also, I guess you could say the same thing about the Marvel movies that have come out over the last 10 plus years. Because those stories from Iron Man 1 to Endgame are not an exact retelling of the initial story, which is
in the comics, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's similar, It's it. If
Yeah,
anything,
it
it takes
hasn't got death.
inspiration,
Like
right?
he's not. Thanos isn't trying to impress death.
Yeah, exactly. Which would have been amazing, but
Yeah, well, they reference that in at the end of the first Avengers, don't they?
yeah,
The
I
guy's
think.
like, "Would court death."
I mean, my part of the whole Death thing is actually the Deadpool crossover because Deadpool is actually in a relationship with Death at one point. So
Oh, okay,
yeah,
right.
that's like my tie-in with Deadpool, but regardless, which will never happen with bloody Avengers. But there we go.
Mate, never say never.
Yeah, I know. X-Men first. That's what we want.
Anything is possible.
But yeah, I mean, like they're not exactly the same. I think people would have still enjoyed them, but the people who have read the comics already would have probably would have had a little bit of an issue with it being exactly the same because you can't please everybody, right? So instead of trying to please just the comic people or just the people who have played the original game, you want to try and do both, but by
Yeah.
also letting down some amount of people. You really there's no definitive
There's no
way of
right
saying.
answer,
Yeah, there
but
really isn't.
they've made a decision to do something. It sounds like a bit different to what a traditional remake may do, and they've taken a risk. And in that risk, I think they're hoping to break through with the traditional remake expectations, I suppose.
I think they're also. I don't know. Actually, they probably would have done that. I'm just trying to think. Like, so they. I think this also.
Okay, hold on, Jay. Hey, let me break you up if that's okay, mate. So, shall we? Let's just dive into the the effing headline of this show, which is your verdict, review, call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. A Final Fantasy VII remake, which FYI has been remade and released, and you've completed it,
Yeah.
which is nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I mean,
So
it is, but it's not the full game. That's part of the thing of it not
right,
being as like
yeah,
if they'd made this into like 180-hour long or like 120-hour long game that spanned across 3 discs that would
yeah.
have taken definitely more than 10 years to make, um, then yeah, it probably would have been more impressive. But because it's only the first one of the potentially two or three, then it doesn't
Well,
seem as bad yet.
yeah,
But I
and
mean, I could
spoiler not
definitely do
spoiler
it
because that's
again.
not that they've definitely
Yeah,
said that.
that's widely known.
Yeah, but my question then is, I guess, does it feel the best way to put this, Jay, in a word is, does it feel right at this length, considering we have games like The Witcher 3 and Skyrim, which are the length you're talking about, to the quality I think you're talking about, so
Mm.
to speak, at the time. So, why hasn't Square Enix? Does it feel justified? Does it feel right at this length?
What, like between 30 and 40 hours?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm kind of glad they did it this way because they are doing 3 parts and they're between 30 and 40 hours each. That's in a total of 90 to 120 hours, right?
but
Which
at the
is,
cost of triple the cost for the consumer.
yeah. Whereas Witcher is 100 hours, right?
Mate, I mean, I personally, I got the Game of the Year edition, which I guess is cheating, but it took me well over 200 hours.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. We're obviously going to bring this up.
Replayed it on the hardest difficulty. Sorry.
No, that's fine. We're probably going to bring this up a little bit later, but in terms of like, what's too long for a game and what's too short for a game.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
is 200 hours.
too
It,
much.
it kind of depends on whether you think you want more for your money, or do you think that because you can. I love this comparison. There's a good comparison with Ricky Gervais, right?
Okay, go
He
on.
he deliberately makes series that only last 2 series long because he knows if he goes too long, there's a chance that it'll die out and it'll be sort of left at a bad point in history, right? Which is kind of what's happened with Game of Thrones, you could say, right?
Hmm.
That it went on too long, and the same with probably Walking Dead as well. A lot of people are saying that it's gone too long, and it's been around long enough to see itself become the villain, as you could say, right?
Yeah.
And Ricky Gervais makes a point with all of his TV shows that they only last 2 series, and they're all brilliant because they have only lasted that long, right?
Hmm.
So I guess you could do a similar thing with games in that you only make a certain amount at a certain length, because if this was 100 hours long, it would probably get a bit, draining and a bit. too much, I think. Which it's kind of how I felt a little bit with Witcher. Actually, it got a bit much.
I think it's a great point of view you bring up there, Jay, and I think you are right. Let's cut the fat. Let's stop any possibility of adding pointless or fruitless content to this game, and let's get it the best it can be. And who cares if it's 3 hours long, 30 hours long, 300 hours long? If it's the right thing to do for the game, then it will last. And I think so. For example, Journey.
Oh, dude, I thought exactly the same thing. You read my mind. You read my mind.
2 to 4 hours. Nobody cares about the length of the game,
dude,
because everybody loves the impact of it.
That game has legs. That game has gone down in history for being a brilliant game, but it's so short. It's just chef's kiss.
Exactly. And then the other end, you've got the middle games, kind of like, I guess, your Hellblades, and I mean that's such a classic double A example.
Is that like 20, like between 10 and 20 hours? Is that middle? Is what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like 10, like even Spider-Man, you could argue, non-completionists. I think only took me. I mean, I completed everything, and I think it took me about 30 plus hours.
Yeah,
I think maybe 40.
Yeah.
And then you've got like what I'm thinking of: Witcher 3, Skyrim's, which are the 150-hour, 100-hour experience. But for me, The Witcher 3 is that good that I actually felt compelled to do every achievement in that game, even though it was that long. I felt the game was such a high enough quality. Maybe you disagree with that.
Well, again, you can compare it to like. Oh, what was I going to say? Wait, lost my train of thought now. What were you saying just then? You were saying about
Witcher 3 being really long.
Being really long.
Really high enough
quality. Right, yeah. You could just say. I guess you could say it was like personal preference again, right? Where like with Spider-Man, it's a good comparison. I felt like I played that game, and then I did New Game Plus, and then I played it again on hard, and I played it again on New Game Plus hard. But I did it 4 times because of how much I loved the game. Right, Spider-Man is like one of those things that personally to me is enough. It holds up long enough for me to want to play it for that long. Versus, obviously, some games like for me, it's kind of The Witcher and everything like that. Like I don't think I could get through. I mean, more than 50 hours, I'd say. Like for me, it doesn't hold a place personally for me as much as something like Spider-Man or Final Fantasy. I suppose.
It's so interesting that you bring that point up, Jay, because like you say, if the game's good enough and it has the right progression / achievement trophy system, even if it's 20 hours long, like Spider-Man's main campaign or something, to that extent, you'll replay it to the point where you've played it as much as you would play The Witcher 3 anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's a win-win scenario if you do it right. Like you say, it's kind of like, okay, God of War's like, what, a third or like a quarter of the length of The Witcher, but it has this much impact and has this much replayability if you want to do the New Game Plus mode. And by the end of it, you'll probably be playing to a similar kind of length to The Witcher 3, perhaps, depending on how you play The Witcher 3. So it really is just about what's good for the game. But the thing that gets me, Jay, if we're on this discussion, is the length of the games is a great conversation to have with single-player games, but then it just completely changes with multiplayer, especially with these games as a service, gas, we could call them. So so in the professional world, software as a service is a well-known term, right? But then in the games industry world, nobody uses the acronym GAS, which is Games as a Service, which is literally would be the exact same acronym as SaaS, just with games instead of software. And I find that really weird that no one uses that. But anyway, I'm going to start using it.
You might want to just educate me a little bit on what that means.
Yeah, sure. So software as a service is basically Office 365 as a subscription.
Oh, okay.
It's providing software or Zoom or Skype, anything that charges on a subscription basis. It's using software or technology as a service, i.e., as a subscription.
So you have to pay for it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and what I'm saying is that we use the same acronym for games nowadays, but nobody uses the actual acronym GAS, like Games as a Service.
Sure.
But everybody says SaaS.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm getting you now.
So so games as a live product, some people say.
Okay.
It's interesting because to me, they're all too daunting for me. But I'll happily spend 200 hours in Red Dead 2, if not longer. So what's that about? As in, for example, I look at the Division 2, Destiny 2, and I think like, oh yeah, they look like really, really solid games. Do you want to play them? Do I want to dive into 5+ DLCs, all included, like from the day one that I start playing? No
No,
effing way. No,
not even close.
you got daily challenges, weekly challenges, monthly challenges. Like, no way. That is more daunting than like having to watch 50 films in 5 days. To me, I know that's not humanly
Yeah,
possible.
no,
It's
I
not
know
the
what you
point.
mean. I do know what you mean. Yeah. No,
It's
whenever I sort of come to a game late and I've already missed out on the initial hype, it kind of feels a
yeah.
little bit. Sometimes it feels a little bit daunting to jump in, but there have been other times where I've come back to a game late and it's been just as good if not better. I can imagine.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah. So let's go back to the 7, mate.
Yeah.
So we've spoken about this on the phone because I don't think it could wait. So
No, I needed to let something out.
exactly. So I'm going to let you
Yeah.
do a kind of just go for it and give me all of your thoughts. Kind of not trying to give away any spoilers of final. Give me all your thoughts on Final Fantasy VII remake. And what I want to know, your reaction. I want to know how you feel about it. I want to know how is it a good game? Give me everything. Just take your time. Just go for it.
Okay, so Final Fantasy, any sort of Final Fantasy game initially for me, one of the biggest things about it is the combat system, and I think a lot of people definitely think this if they are any amount of Final Fantasy fan, or even if they're not a Final Fantasy fan, um, depending on what games they've played before, whether it be action or any amount of RPG, they may or may not have come across a similar combat system. And I think that Final Fantasies definitely do a really good job at teaching you the combat system from the get go, because obviously it's like the main thing about it, really, isn't it? So I was kind of like we said before, it was a bit scary going into something where you didn't know the combat system, and it's the main part of it, so you kind of want to be good at it. And luckily, I got there, which I was very happy about. And I think people who have played Final Fantasy the original will be happy with this because it still incorporates the ATB system from beforehand. So I'm happy about that. So once we get past the combat part of it, I guess it's like the overall look. And I will say this game is beautiful. Like it really, really is. Like it's the best looking game at the minute. I think. I don't. I'm trying to. Have you got any like examples of games that you think at the right now are the best they've ever looked or will ever look?
Red Dead 2 for me is the best looking game made to date.
Yeah, no, I think this tops it.
Really?
Like in terms of character graphics, I'd say so.
Yeah.
But in terms of
I, I,
landscapes and backgrounds, definitely not.
okay. I get what you're saying because from the trailers, it looks like that Square Enix's look of a Final Fantasy character is almost perfected in this game.
Oh no, it's they've perfected it. So I might have mentioned before, but there's a film that came out to do with Final Fantasy VII. It's part of the actual canon of the series called Advent Children, and the
Yeah.
graphics in that for the time, I think it was like 2005 that came out. It might have even been earlier, 2004 maybe. The graphics at the time for that, CGI wise and like animation wise, were like top notch. They were the best, and I think they've actually managed to reach that level, if not improve on it, but in actual in game. So all the cutscenes in the game are in-game graphics, and they look better than that film does. And that's a big, big step. I think. I think from now on, games are going to look a lot better than they ever have, which
Do
I
you
guess is
think
like
that?
a given. But
Do
we've
you
come a long
think
way.
that was a purposeful development?
Oh, 100%,
Uh,
100%.
development. Right. Okay.
Because they want this game. They want this game to live as long as the previous one, if not longer, in terms of like its name, it's the brand. Like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy
Yeah.
VII, the original one, looks awful now,
Yes.
but it's lived on for 23 years. Like it's still as popular as it was 23 years ago. Like
Yeah.
people still know what it is, so they need to make enough of an impact. You know, more than just it being Final Fantasy VII. They need to make, it needs to look good enough. It needs to hold. There's definitely a standard that is being upheld by the guys over at Square Enix, and I'm very happy about it. Because this game, there's a lot of games that don't hold up, but this one will hold up for a long time, I think. Like, I think the graphic level isn't going to get much better than that for. Well, I don't know. I mean, it could all of a sudden get exponentially better, but I think it'll hold up for quite a while at this point.
Mm.
Now, in terms of the story, it's taken me a while to sort of come to terms with being happy or not, whether the story taken from a original source has been changed in any way. Like, the Marvel films were definitely a thing for me, where I was like, oh, I just wanted it to be, the comics but made into films. Like, I wanted it to be the same thing, and it wasn't. And I was a little bit upset about that initially, but I still had enough love for the films to want to keep watching it and still love it, for what it was. And I'm kind of having that same feeling with this. Like, the story is different, but I think it's for the better. And if anything, I think part of the reason why it's different is because they want people to come back to the second one thinking, I have no idea what's going to happen. I need to buy the next one so I do know what's going to happen. Does that make sense?
And do you think? Yeah, of course. And do you think they've changed? If they have changed things, massively, just as a cast, just to lure players into the next phase?
Yeah, no, 100%. I don't think that's the sole reason. I think it's a good, it's a bonus. It's an added bonus for just having something fresh, something new to do. Like, obviously, the guys who worked on this are the same people who worked on the previous one. They didn't want to just make the same thing again, so they thought, we'll do the same thing, but just either improve on it or make it more interesting for ourselves as well as other people.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do a partially spoiler thing on, like, maybe not right now, but maybe in the future, just like a what's the best word? I guess like theories on what the ending could actually mean.
Okay.
But I might just leave that and let that just gestate over the next couple months or years until the next one comes out, because the ending sort of leaves you with, we know what's going to happen now. So, and one of the things the developer said is they wanted people to understand the story, but if anything, they've left it on such a hanger that it actually makes it kind of more confusing.
From what I've heard online, it sounds like there are moments in the story which sound very confusing to people who haven't played Final Fantasy VII before.
Yeah, if you didn't know the story, you wouldn't understand this, I don't think.
Isn't that a very poor, a bad thing about this game?
Yeah, I'm still trying to decide whether, if I didn't know the story, whether I'd still get it or not. I think there's definitely things to get, and you definitely get. I'd say you get a general sense of what the story is.
Yeah.
And I think that's basically what they're trying to do. They're trying to just have enough of a hook for new players to want to stay and see what's going to happen next. But they want, obviously, that people who know the in-depth stuff will have already figured all the stuff out and can kind of have a good gauge on what's going to happen next. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, I have a few ideas about what could happen next, and hopefully they do that one and not that one. Because if they do that one, I'm going to be a little bit more annoyed if they do that one versus that one, like that kind of situation.
Yeah.
I think like certain stories can get a bit tropey and a bit annoying if they involve a certain thing that they want to do with it. So I can't really say any more than that because it'll spoil it.
So. Okay. So yeah, carry on.
So yeah, in terms of like an overall thing, I would definitely say this game is worth getting. You will not be disappointed at all. I think newer people who aren't used to playing this game will probably struggle a little bit more than if you don't. But playing it on easy is going to be a good option, and it is pretty easy to do. So.
And overall, then you think it's met the colossal expectations?
There's a person I follow online who is like a very, very big fan of Final Fantasy VII, and he's playing it right now. I don't know if he's finished it, but I know he's taking his time with it. But I think I'll get his verdict, and I trust him enough to be able to have potentially the same verdict as what he has. So I think once I hear his verdict, I'll be able to form my own opinion off of that, I think.
Yeah, I get you
Like
because
it's, I'm
you
not as
understand
much of a
his
fan
love
as
for the
his love
yeah
is goes beyond anybody else's. Like this guy, this guy's so much of a fan that he actually got to spend a lot of time with the developers, and he got a lot of early access with a lot of the game before it came out.
yeah
Like the developers noticed his because he's a guy he's like a streamer, he's like a YouTube creator, right? So he's been on YouTube since day one, creating content about this game, and like the amount of dedication he's put towards the Final Fantasy series, the developers of the game have recognized that and given him privileges to be able to allow him to be able to enjoy it even more than other people.
yeah a
So
bit like
like,
the Nomad Colossus guy of for Shadow Colossus, who
yeah,
I think was
exactly,
behind the
exactly,
scenes on the remake. Yeah,
very
yeah,
similar. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm kind of waiting to see what he says, and then I'll be able to. But in terms of before I hear what he says, I'd say that yes, this will be a staple, and will probably go down in history, and hopefully won't be one of those things where it becomes its own villain with the sequel. Hopefully, the sequel, even though it's not really a sequel, it's a continuation of.
Yeah.
But hopefully, they can do if the next game is even close to as good as this one, then it'll be fine.
How did they pull this off, Jay?
It's weird. Like the amount of like detail in this game is ridiculous. Like the amount of like the level of like developerness, as I guess, as you you know, like they must have done some like really ridiculous stuff, like
Well, how
technology
did
wise, to be able to get this far. Like it's insane. I can't. I'm kind of like amazed by how much game developers are able to do nowadays.
How do they go from making Kingdom Hearts 3, which, to
Oh,
be
okay.
fair, as far as I'm aware, delivers on all the fan expectations and is a great game in terms of graphics, systems, polish.
Mm,
Even though it took years and years, you could argue that's a marketing issue, not a development issue.
yeah,
And they go from Final Fantasy 15, which again was well
it
good.
looks amazing,
It was
and I like it a
yeah, it
lot.
looks
You know,
amazing. You liked it a lot. Considering the wait and the anticipation, I think it at least met those expectations also, but didn't perhaps exceed them. And I think some people were left a bit annoyed that it wasn't perhaps the game they wanted. How have they gone from that sort of company where they're making good games, perhaps not great games, and then meeting the expectation of again releasing another one of their games, which has taken forever to develop? And I'm hoping that they've gotten rid of all the old projects and they're just and they're kind of they're focused on what they have now instead of telling us about the same game for 10 years. I'm hoping that that's a future Square Enix. How have they gone from developing those types of games to just basically pulling out of the air a perhaps best it could possibly be remake of Final Fantasy VII? Can you imagine it being any better? How have they done? How have they gone from one to the other?
yeah, it's weird. Like we said before about there's no perfect game, but I think this is pretty close. Like, I think this is about as close as you want to get. You don't really want to get any more perfect than this because then it would be too perfect, and we'd have an issue, right? Because I don't like we said before. You can't get perfection when it comes to a game. I think this is. I think Squares have been around long enough now, and the technology has caught up, where they're finally able to get what's in their minds out into the real world and actually deliver on something like that. I think 15 was like like everything before 7 remake was just a stepping stone, a milestone to get to where they are now. And you could probably say the same thing about any game that came out before the original 7 or 15 or 13 or anything that's come out in between. Like every game before that has led up to that point, and each new Final Fantasy title is sort of like the pinnacle of what could possibly happen with that title at the time. I don't think Final Fantasy have ever released a bad Final Fantasy game. There's never been a bad
Sure,
one. I don't think. Like, I mean, you could obviously argue, but
poorer ones,
I
but
think
never a bad
I think
one.
in general, like,
Yeah.
yeah, they deliver every time because they're just great at it now. They've been doing it for so long that they can't really muck up. It's difficult to do bad now because the thing is they don't get comfortable. I think that's what's good about it, is that they're constantly striving to do new things. Which is a part of the reason, I guess, why they changed the story a little bit, right? They didn't want to get comfortable with the fact that they knew what they had to do to just make the same thing over again. They didn't want to do
Yeah.
that. They want to be able to challenge themselves to be able to constantly improve. And I think constant improvement allows you to make mistakes, learn from them, and then actually deliver the product you want. You shoot for the stars and you land on the moon type situation, right?
Yeah.
So once you've landed on the moon, you then try again, and you keep trying until you get it. And I think they don't release the product until they've got it. So they've obviously hit the mark perfectly.
So this, from what I can tell, will be the main focus of Square Enix, at least in the Final Fantasy side of things, for the next few
100%.
years.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I wouldn't imagine. I mean, the only other option when it comes to releasing a new thing would be a whole new IP, I imagine, right?
Or
Like
Final Fantasy
a new
16?
Final Fantasy, I mean, yeah. So it'd be like Final Fantasy 16, 17, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Like at that point, I'd hope it would be. I can't imagine them doing a remake of like 9 or 3 or
That's what I was going to
1.
ask you. Like, what does this do in terms of remake expectations? Because there is no way they are giving this kind of treatment to another Final Fantasy game in their back catalogue, because that would just take another 10 years, if not 20.
This is the thing. One could hope this is definitely like a good look into the future of potential Final Fantasy, because they're either going to use this technology to make a whole new Final Fantasy story, or a continuation of another one. Like 15 or 13 or 1, 2, 3, 4. Continued. But it also leaves it. Literally, it gives them enough content forever now, right? If it takes 10 years to make one of these games, they could literally start with 1 and just go through them all again up until like maybe 10.
Yeah.
10 is where it started to actually start to look good. So I reckon if they did 1 to 9 again, that's what the next century sorted out.
Yeah.
Like they're good.
Yeah.
Like these guys the next generation of Square Enix is going to look good. Like it's not going to look bad. They're set for life. Like they're set for at least another 2 generations at least.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because, like you say, if they want to, they've already written the stories and made the games to set themselves out for remakes for the next 100 years, if they really want to do that.
Minimum 100 years, minimum.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I want to live forever now. I can't wait to play like Final Fantasy 9 remake. I can't wait to play it, dude.
I just can't see it happening, mate. Like,
Oh no, I probably won't, but I
the
want
amount of
to.
resources. Yeah, yeah. No, I get what you. The thing that strikes me as so bizarre is that they don't usually go to the past per se. Oh, they do HD remasters and ports for Final Fantasy X and X-2 and all these different consoles, and we're now getting all the Final Fantasies on Game Pass and all that good stuff. And Final Fantasy 13 is on backwards compatible, but it seems like Square Enix's first knock out of the park in some time, and it's funny that has come from a old Final Fantasy game
Previous title. You're actually making a really good point here.
in new systems. It's like, it's because 13. Let's be blunt about it.
Yep.
The combat was near perfect, and the systems and the location design and how the characters looked was near perfect. It was
for the time, definitely.
For the time. It was just the kind of story and the characters that I think people would have had a problem with if they had a problem with that game. Everything else, you look at it from a technical point of view, and it's like a marvel, I would say.
Yeah, I guess one thing you can't complain about in a Final Fantasy game is how it looks or plays.
Exactly.
The only I'd say the general consensus for every Final Fantasy game after 12 and before remake, i.e. 13, 13.2, Lightning Returns, and 15, the only thing that people have had a problem with those games is the story.
Yeah.
So I think what you can look at there is, well, if we know we're always going to do good on the graphics and the way it plays, what we should be concentrating on is improving our storytelling, right? But one thing Final Fantasy has always done is managed to tell a in-depth, very, very historical, deep story of a universe that they've made up completely. Like it's been completely out of the mind of someone, one person or a group of people. Like how insane is it they can do that once, let alone 15, 17, 20 times they've done it, probably more, right? They've done it so many times and they've improved on it each time, but there's people are still complaining about the story. Don't like I feel like nobody should ever complain about a Final Fantasy story ever, 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 ever. Never ever, because it doesn't matter if it's bad or good. It doesn't matter if it's bad or good. It's just happened, and I think you should appreciate it for it ever happening, let alone, anything else.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, mate. Like you say, Final Fantasy in a way is that perfect series because it has the fresh start if they want it.
Yeah, they've got a fresh start whenever they want. Whenever they want.
Yeah, and like you say, in a way, it is a brand new IP every time.
Yeah, in a way.
You could argue, apart from the sequels, and you could argue the Fabula Novola, Christos, whatever the hell it's called,
Yeah.
lore of the recent games, you could argue that it has a lot of similarities like chocobos and crystals and game mechanics and things like that. But for the most part, they could just start completely anew if they wanted to.
Yeah, I think like the people had a massive issue with the 13 story and the 15 story, because it's sort of like the 13, the story didn't really make much sense initially, and then they fixed it with 13.2 and Lightning Returns. The story finally came to a close, but I feel like it was supposed to be a trilogy. Like, it's one of those things where it's supposed to be a trilogy, which I guess is what they're kind of doing with VII Remake. Is that the first game is not going to make any amount of sense. The second one's probably going to clear a few things up and give you. It's going to be the setup for the third one, and then the third one's going to tie it all up in a bow, and you're going to be so happy that you ever even played any of them, that the first story and the second story didn't even matter as long as it ended well enough. Thing is, I think the second and the third game are literally going to improve the first game immensely, which is exactly what's happened with 13, 13.2, and Lightning Returns. The first game a lot of people didn't like. Second game, it gave you enough of a story to then appreciate the first one a little bit more, and then it also told you what was going to happen, more of what was going to happen in the next one, and then the next one told you everything that happened, finished it, voila, you have a great trilogy. That's what a trilogy, I think, is supposed to do. It's supposed to make you think. The first part of any trilogy is supposed to make you want to come back for the next one. Supposed to leave you entirely confused and like, what the hell did I just watch, witness, play, whatever. You're intrigued enough to come back for the second one. You do the second one, you watch it, you play it, you whatever, and you're like, right, I now have a better understanding of what's going to happen next and what has previously happened, and then the third one gives you that ultimate reward at the end, and now you're fulfilled, right? And I think that's what most Final Fantasy games do. Is they start off a bit iffy in terms of, people only think it's bad because they don't understand it, right? You're fearful of what you don't understand. So if anything, I think it's actually Final Fantasy is so much more in depth than you think. It's really like it's playing with the human condition. Like, they know exactly how to play with the human mind. Like, they give the human mind exactly what it wants and doesn't want at the exact same time. And I think
they do that on purpose.
Oh, entirely. And I think that is what makes Final Fantasy, the storytelling of Final Fantasy, way more impressive than people give it credit for. I think they literally have the perfect formula for perfect storytelling. Like, it really is. People get annoyed at not knowing what's going to happen next, so they have to come back for the next one to understand it, and that then in turn means more sales for them, and then better games in the future. I've just figured that out right now, by the way. That is insane. I just blew my own mind.
I agree with your point of view. I also disagree with it because for me, you don't have to leave people confused and bewildered to want a second game. So, for example, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, the reboot, both are looking like they're going to get sequels, but I'm not confused. I mean, there are aspects of the story which I want answered and I want to see more of, but I kind of know what's going on or what's happened. And in that respect, I don't think you necessarily need to confuse the player to, blackmailing him to buy the next game because you want to know what exactly is going on. However, I get your point on tying everything up and the place of where each story is told, as in the second one gives you more information, the third one ties it up. And there is a reward to that, and like you say, it could get to the point where after the third one comes out and you finished it, you might replay the first one and go like, oh my god, this all makes so much more sense and you can appreciate it so much more.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, like, for me, it's now a question of continuity, and it is a question of how much are they going to change in the second and third game? Are they all going to feel like they're in the same, like as in how much is going to continue in terms of mechanics, in terms of systems, in terms of look, and how is it all going to tie up, especially if there is a big gap in between each game. For example, if in 10 years they have a bundle for all three in one, if I buy that and play them all for the first time, are they going to feel like they are supposed to belong in the same package?
I think you're kind of proving my point even more, in the sense of like you're basically like telling me what I've already said in terms of like people they don't want to confuse, like you'd only get confused if you didn't understand what was going on, right?
But okay, but do they have they laid out the tools so that you can understand it if you
Oh
want
yeah,
to?
definitely. Yeah, 100%.
Where do you access them? Why would they not put them on display?
I imagine they're accessed in all the data entries in 13, aren't they?
Sure. What I meant was in the new one. Like, what
Yeah.
are there areas where players who are confused? Is there somewhere where they can go and apart from like people online, is there somewhere in game that they can go to find answers? I guess.
No, but I don't think you would need that until at least second or third one, right?
Oh, okay. So it's just a case of being patient, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
I think it is, but I mean, like it really is the perfect system. But I don't think necessarily they want the people to be confused. They just want the people to be intrigued as to what.
Yeah.
I think confused was the wrong word. It was more of like they want people to be interested at least somewhat into getting the next one to understand what's going to finally happen. Which is
Yeah.
like the same formula for any TV show, any movie trilogy, or just a movie in general. Like start, middle, and end. Start, they tell you some information. Middle, they tell you more. End, they tell you all of it. Right? That's kind of
Yeah.
how it's supposed to go. And I think they're just following the formula, and it's a good formula, and it's worked for this long, and it'll work forevermore. I think. I
Yeah.
think that's literally how you could tie this whole thing up: is that they're following the formula, and the formula's always worked. And if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
where we can leave that. 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Great. Well, thank you for your thoughts, Jay. I thoroughly
I can't believe I just figured
appreciated.
that out right now. That's so cool.
I appreciated that breakdown of the game.
Yeah,
So,
man.
without further ado, should we get on with the show? Should we crack on with the show, Jay?
Yeah, that was a good enough
Oh.
intro, right?
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Oh,
Definitely.
Jesus.
So, first point of call.
Yeah, go for it.
Someone was kind enough to write in to TGO show, and that
Mm,
is Jay's dad.
certainly
So,
is.
firstly, thank you to Jay's dad for listening, and I will now go through his email. So, hey Nick
I
and
don't even know
Jay.
what it says yet, so this is interesting.
Oh, okay, fine. Loving the podcast. Actually, I have to say, Jay, I don't know if your dad's really smart or he's made
Probably.
spelling mistakes in here, but I googled some of the words and it does actually make sense if you
Oh,
like.
no. Go on then.
So, for example, Strasse or Strasse is German for street, and he put it's right up my Strasse.
Yeah, no, that sounds like my dad. Yeah.
Got ya. Yeah, proper confused me.
What a tip.
He's got a lot of questions, but he's going through the episode. So, first question is where did I get the music from? He doesn't like it, which is fair enough. But he wants more old video game music stuff. So, a couple of points on that, Mark. So,
I know exactly what you're going to say. Go on.
firstly, I didn't want to do traditional game music because I think every gaming podcast does that, and in that respect, I find it a bit unoriginal. Secondly, I had my mate Tom, who's Smooth 4000 on SoundCloud, shout out to him,
Mm,
produced the music for this podcast, and we collaborated with my ideas and some loose riff ideas and concepts to create music which I felt matched the vibe of what I wanted to produce for the show, which I don't feel the need to detail because hopefully it kind of comes across eventually.
Sure.
So that's why the music sounds as it does, and I stand by it. I think it's cool and bouncy and hip and hop and catchy.
All right, old man. Jesus.
What did you think, Jay? What did you think I was going to say?
No, that was. I thought you were going to say something about like copyright, maybe. Like if we were going to use music that was copyrighted.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Like, let's say
pretty
we
much.
use like the Mario theme or the Sega like Sonic theme or something. We probably wouldn't be able to use
Sega.
that because it's copyrighted and it'd probably cost us a lot of money to use it, right?
Yeah, I mean that definitely that too. Like, yeah, I've pretty
But I guess
much from.
I think what he means is like more chiptune sounding stuff.
That's exactly what he put. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I read him like a boat, but um,
yeah.
yeah, which I get why you either would or wouldn't use it. I mean, it's just whatever you want to do, really, isn't it? So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the copyright thing was an immediate kind of no for me because again, instead of using the intro and the interludes as a potential for me and Jay's creativity in terms of collaborating with Tom and producing music for it, it also helps one put something a bit more original out there, two be a bit more precise in how we want the show to go because instead of relying on other music, we're relying on our music and therefore we can precisely adapt it to what we want.
mm.
And then thirdly, I can't really remember that point actually.
Okay. No,
So
I think what you said is fine. I think what you said is it answers that quite well.
yeah, it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say that thirdly, if we put other music in, it's kind of taking away from the opportunity to not have to have our own music.
Mm.
So that's yeah. For example, if you did a movie, although there is an absolute art to having a movie soundtrack,
Yeah.
for me there is always something brilliant about having an original
Oh
score
yeah.
soundtrack.
You could say the same about Final Fantasy. Bring it all back,
Exactly,
dude. Bring it all back to the Final Fantasy.
exactly. He'd love to hear more about our favourite moments in games.
We could do
Mark
that.
says he did cry playing Journey, and he still gets goosebumps from the Final Fantasy VII music.
Yeah,
Very
me too.
relevant.
Me
He
too.
has the battle theme as his ringtone, apparently, which is awesome.
He definitely does.
Mark
I
said
can attest to that.
beating Sephiroth took me hours in the final battle, and he did have the Knights of the Round Table materia too. Don't know if that's a particularly important thing or something or powerful.
Yeah, that's not in
But,
this one, but it'll come later, I imagine.
okay, but he thought he put about 400 hours into that game, so he can appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said, which games have we put the most hours into as well? And he has an
Oh,
idea for what Jay's is. So
he knows what mine
before we
is.
go on
Yeah.
to that, favourite moments in games, that is a huge, huge topic.
I have to
I
really
think we
think
should
about
limit to
this. God,
two two recent ones.
hang
Two
on.
recent ones.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Well, can we put
I'll
that as
go.
like a history dip for the future?
Fine.
Because
Can
I
you write that
feel
in the
like
doc, please, mate?
yeah. I'll put that for
Nice
like
one.
a. I think for more recent ones is good to answer now, but more like like distant ones, then yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Um,
Let's do that. Do that for history dip at some point in the future.
yeah.
Which game have you put the most hours into? I'll talk about mine while Jay sorts that out. Mine are very easy because I spent a lot of time with them and I remember. So first, you've got The Witcher 3. I don't know the precise amount of hours because I can't be bothered to check. Witcher 3 did every achievement on that game for Xbox One. Super proud of that. And probably spent about 230 or so hours on it.
Mm,
Number two, you've got your obvious Fallout 3. I mean, you could Bethesda games for the last 10 years, basically. Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4. All of them I've probably put in. I know for Fallout 3 I've put in over 500 hours. I know for Oblivion I've put in over 300. I know for Skyrim I've put over 300, if not 400. And I know for Fallout 4 I think I did about 250. So that's
yeah.
not too bad, that one. It's one of those games. Those are the types of games where you play them and you're enjoying them, and before you know it, you sunk in 30 hours. I don't know. It's just kind of how they design them, but the time just goes, man. Number three, Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 is way longer than Red Dead 1. and I love it. And I've spent so many hours on it, and I will spend so many more hours on it until I finish that game because it's too good of a game to not complete in my eyes. Number 4, this will be my last one. Yeah, I'm just thinking, going through my head now, because those are the main ones really. Games I've played. Titanfall 1, multiplayer. Couldn't get enough of it. I think I played that game for again like 300-400 hours. I just absolutely loved it. I loved it. I loved every match. I loved every battle. I loved every match. Felt rewarding, and it felt like I had a fighting chance. And I loved it. It was the natural evolution of Call of Duty, which we should have got in Call of Duty, but we didn't until like way after Titanfall 1. And it's the perfect game to have for the Xbox One when you first bought it because it was multiplayer. I wasn't really playing much multiplayer at the time. It was quick, it was easy to get into, a bit like Rocket League, and I loved it. So, Jay, what are yours?
So is this is like
most hours in the game? Yeah.
Yeah, well, mate, it's Pokemon Leaf Green.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
I think I easily put between 600 and 1,000 hours somewhere, like probably like 850 maybe.
My God.
Like, I played that game every day for like years, for like 6-7 years, and I've played it recently again. Like I've got so many.
What are you doing? What is left to do?
Honestly, do you want to know what it is? It's literally doing
every character. Every
no,
Pokemon.
it's the same 6 or 7 Pokemon at level 100. But I literally just do the Elite Four over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I did it. I must have done it 1,000 times.
Sorry, hold on a minute. You're telling me
Yeah.
that you just did the Elite Four over and over again for no reason?
Just because it was fun. Like legit, like I did that. I think the first 300 hours were getting all the Pokemon, finishing the game, leveling them all up, and then the last like 500 or so hours were just doing that over and over and over for years and years and years.
Joe, mate, you're gone.
I don't know why. I think I can't remember doing it. That's the problem. Like it was so long ago that I don't actually remember like doing it. Like I don't remember sitting down. It must have been like for me. It must have been the same as like breathing air. Like it was exactly the same. Like it was just whatever, you know.
Gee, so what I'm guessing is like it was just a daily routine.
Yeah, I'd wake up, play it, go to school, come home, play it, eat my tea, play it.
But it wasn't even like getting an objective. You already finished everything, and you're just doing it. Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
I'd say other games, probably like Civilization 6.
Oh, good one. Yeah.
Probably about 100 hours into that. What else have I done? Probably, I mean, all the Fallout games I've easily put, 100+ hours into.
Yeah, because again, that's how they're designed, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, there's not really. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other ones that I've put a lot of time into. None that are that memorable though, like compared to those ones, I'd say.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your email, Mark.
We were going to do best game moments, weren't we, or just like more recent ones?
We're moving that. Oh, I thought you wanted to move that to history day.
I thought that. Well, yeah, we'll move that to history day. We'll come back to that, I suppose.
We've got a lot to go through, Jay.
Yeah. I was just going to mention like Dante's Inferno, since we've already talked about that.
Okay, yeah, sure.
That was probably, I guess, for me and you, that was a good history moment, and just sort of like, I mean, the whole thing was a good history moment.
The whole experience, yeah. I think buying that to be broad about it, I think anytime me or you and anytime you buy a game with a mate and you have a whole almost collaboration with them on the game of like, how far are you? Have you completed it?
Telling each other about where you are, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Like, get past the next bit, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Like that whole experience is like awesome. Like, do you remember Spectrobes? You will.
Hang on.
DS game.
Oh my god. Oh my god, yes.
Oh, there it is.
Dude,
there it is.
You are blowing my mind.
There it is.
What is going? Oh my god.
Yeah, there it is.
Dude, I totally forgot about this game. I want to play it now. It kind of looks old. Oh my god.
It is.
Dude, that game was so good. No, I'm kind of sad now because of how good it was. Oh no! Oh
Jay,
man, that was such
that
a good
that's a
game.
play.
I'm not
That's a
joking. I must
playthrough.
have that somewhere. I must have that in like a drawer, or actually, I know where it is. I know where it is. It's in my attic. It's up there. It must be. If not, it's been thrown out.
How much stuff you got up there?
Oh, quite a lot. But I mean, it's either up there or been thrown out. One of the two.
Yeah, so me
Oh
and you,
man, that's
we won't
insane,
go into it. I'll just quickly tell everyone that me and you bought that game in like year 6 at the same time. The
dude.
guide, we were waiting for the guidebook or the game to come, and you kept ringing me like every hour for the the day before it came to see if it was come. And then it finally came with like the guide. I think we had a guidebook each as well, and we just both sank like so many hours into it. And yeah, it was awesome. So Jay,
Wow.
let's go, let's go, let's go into what we've been playing.
Uh,
Um, so I'm going to breeze through mine. Not that we're on a time limit because there is no time limit on the TGO show, but I will just go through mine. And I'm also going to place my laptop slightly more central to my mic so I can actually talk into it rather than against it. Okay, so do you mind if I go first, Jay?
yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So I've been playing. So what? Oh, there's so much to talk about. Oh my god. Okay, firstly, Borderlands 3 DLC number 2, Guns, Love and Tentacles, I have got all the achievements for. I
Wow.
had to get some help with this online. Basically, one of the achievements is glitched, and you need another player to trigger these missions for these rare spawn missions for these monsters,
Oh,
so
okay.
that you can do the mission and kill all 4 and get the achievement. On the PS4, it's not glitched. You don't need anyone to trigger the missions for you. You can just go and kill them, and that's how I think the achievement should be. But it's
Well,
glitched,
I guess
and they
that's
haven't
that
patched
for
it yet.
me.
They haven't patched it yet. Have you got all the achievements as well?
Oh, no, I mean I've just got PS4 and I've been playing it on PS4, so I wouldn't need
Oh,
to.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was glitched. That was annoying, and they've actually put hot fixes in and still haven't patched it. But whatever. So I think you know what I really want this achievement. Let's just use the online platforms that everyone talks about, the forums, and see if I can get anyone to actually random to play with and help me with this achievement. So I go on all like True Achievements or whatever. I find this Discord chat, and as you can imagine, I'm like 45 years old. I don't even know how to work Discord properly,
Oh
and
wow.
I just put on there like someone puts on there like, oh, like is anyone available right now to help with this achievement? I was like, yeah, I'm available. So I joined this party with these other 2 guys. One of them is an absolute achievement nutter. Right,
Oh wow.
he only plays shooters. Both really nice guys from the Netherlands, and he only plays shooters. And then I was like, "Oh right, so what game have you like?" Because he loves getting all these. He's a proper proper achievement hunter. So
Hmm.
I was like, "What game have you done recently?" He's like, "Oh yeah, Bioshock 2." And I was like, "Oh yeah, good game, good game." And he's like, "Yeah, I did a 360, PC, Xbox One, PS4, PC." And I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah, a bit
that
more on the same. Yeah.
is like." I literally said to him, I was like, I could not in my mind justify putting that much
I
effort into
mean,
like.
it's doable, but it would just take a lot longer,
Oh,
wouldn't it?
it's 100% doable, but like to do the same game 5, like
Yeah,
not a chance.
my mental would. Yeah, my brain would explode. I think.
It's absolutely nuts. So
Hmm.
anyway, this guy helped me out. They were both really nice, and they were both like, "Yeah, this is a whole community. Every game has these kind of achievement communities." And he was saying about how there's like, so I asked him like, "How did you get the multiplayer achievements for Bioshock 2? Because there's a multiplayer mode on it, and
Yeah.
nobody plays it." And he's like, "Dude, if you go on any game, there's like a small minority of people trying to get the achievements for it." And I was like, "That is awesome." That
Cool.
is so awesome. So yeah, I used the online forums or whatever, and got this guy. Had this guy help me out. I helped him out, kind of. I didn't do much, but me being there and helping him get it kind of helped, I guess.
Mm.
So shout out to them, and I thought it was a really awesome experience. I've never done it before, but I'd recommend people do it, and I guess it's the only way you're going to find new players at this point in your life anyway. But I wanted to give that a shout out because I thought it was a really cool experience.
I did that a lot in the Destiny days.
Destiny 1.
Yeah, probably
Was
both
that on
actually.
Xbox
Destiny
or
one and
PS4?
two. That would have been on. That's a good point. Probably on PS4.
Okay. Because I would have
Um,
helped you on Destiny 1. I had Destiny 1.
no, there was. You know what LFG is?
Rings a bell.
Looking for group.
Oh, yeah, see, these are the abbreviations I'm not familiar
Yeah, so there's a website called LFG, and you would go on there, and you'd basically like either create a party on there, saying the specifics of what we're looking for in a party to help you out, or you would join someone else's party, and if they had already made the specs that you want to join a party with, so you just do that whenever you got stuck, basically.
Is it good? Does it work? Do people
join? It's really good. Yeah, it was very efficient.
Because
very, very efficient.
That's awesome. And isn't that because they didn't have searching for like the vault and stuff? Which, by the way, to this day, I still cannot comprehend why you wouldn't just allow people to search for players for apparently the best part of the game.
Say that again.
Apparently, Destiny 1 didn't have like searching available, so you couldn't search for a lobby for Vault of Glass. The raid.
Okay. Yeah. No, that was one of the issues with the first one that they fixed in the second one, I think.
I can't believe they had that issue. It's so bad.
No, I think that was just like a learning thing of like not really, thinking of every possible outcome. Fair. Even though it seems like quite a obvious one, it obviously wasn't obvious enough for them to fix it.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they might have done in the future, but I'd never really stuck around that long to find out. So.
Yeah, me neither. But apparently, it's the best part of the game. So I've also been playing Skyrim. We'll go on to that later. But all in all, I have one achievement left, Jay, and I am.
Okay.
I've got to kill a legendary dragon, and that it spawns in this area, which I accidentally found. Right, so I'm literally like, oh, where is this area? I'm like, oh, this is a cool area. I don't think I've ever been down here before. And it was that area. I was like, that's awesome. So as soon as I get to level 78, I will go to that area, get the achievement, and it's done. It's finally done. I can't tell you how nice I'm going to feel after that's finished.
You know what? You're probably going to feel a bit bummed out.
I wondered that because I'm actually getting into it now, or I've been into it for the past week straight, like so into it. So that, like when you said, maybe when it finishes, I'll still want to play it. Who knows? But I don't think so. But it's been a nice ride to finally finish that game. Just played Borderlands 3 Science thing that we talked about, I think, last week or the week before.
Yeah.
And it's basically Connect 4. So what you do is there's 4 different icons, and on each row, you can have certain icons on each row that match. So as in, like, one row is looking for 2 icons to be set on that row. So either or icon. So either this icon or another icon, and each icon's a Vault Hunter.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to, and you can use these like push-ups to get them higher to go on each row. So if you just imagine like row 1, certain number, like a certain couple of tokens, what do I call them? Whatever. And then the second row will have a different one, so you can keep pushing the different ones higher and higher to match them. I'm making it sound complicated. It's really, really easy. It's cool. It works. It's neat. I mean, I can see why people would play it. It's not for me. I don't really like puzzle games, but it's neat. It's really cool that it's helping, health programs around the world, I guess. And more games should do it. And it's not good enough for me to actually sit down and do it. But they have attached a kind of progression system to it, which would motivate some players, which is cool. So it's cool. It's neat. Not for me, but it's cool. And I've also platinumed Gris, Jay. And I think, to be fair, you do want me to elaborate on this a little.
Well, no, it was more of just like it kind of looked like one of those games that would be easy to platinum in terms of like it just looks simple. It looks like a journey type situation.
Sure.
Where it's probably not that long and it's probably fairly simple.
Yeah, so I mean, you just completely shut me down on wanting to talk about this game.
Oh no, go on.
No, I'm joking. Gris Platinum. Yeah, so it is an easy, like I guess it's an easy game. So let me give you a rundown, Jay. A quick rundown, okay? So, well, we don't have to be quick. Look, we're not rushed. We can't rush the show every time. It's cool. We're cool. We've got time. Right? Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. Have you seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, mate?
Oh, what?
Have you seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I have, yeah.
Oh my god, how have we not spoken about this?
It's weird. I've watched it in really odd increments.
Right, it's the best.
Yeah, that was good. I need to watch some more recent series though.
Oh, what? As in more recent Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or just?
Is it series 5? I think I haven't watched yet.
7.
Oh, maybe not then. I don't know. 5, 6, 7. One of those.
Okay,
I
fair.
need to
So,
learn.
Chris.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I was playing the game, and it was very, as you can imagine, very pretty.
Mm.
Music is really great, and the color scheme is very intentional and interesting. I reached the end of the game, and as you can imagine, by the time you get to the end of these games, you're kind of wanting them to just to see the ending, to have some context behind your actions, because it's all very vague and ambiguous. So I reached the ending of the game, and I can honestly tell you, I've got no idea what's going on for the whole game. Like
Brilliant.
I've got an idea, I've got a concept of what's going on, and I could give you that idea or
Okay.
that theory. But I was like, yeah, no, sorry, game. I was expecting you to do a little bit more storytelling, really.
Mm.
Especially with the premise and how it begins, you expect a bit of context. So, anyway, I check out the trophies, and I'm like, everyone online's like, oh, yeah, they're well easy. And I look, and I'm like, so it basically sounds like I've got to backtrack or do chapter select on every single chapter and
Yeah.
just play through the whole game again, essentially, and get all the collectibles I've missed. And I was like, that sounds like the biggest ball ache ever. Okay.
Sure.
So I start. One other morning, I think I wake up early, and Erin, India's sister, is still sleeping in the other room. So I can only go on the PS4 essentially, and I jump on it, and I'm like, fine, I'll just whack out some of these trophies. I might as well. I've paid for the game. I might as well play and get the trophies and get my money's worth. Is my logic towards it.
Yeah.
So I start playing. I start doing the completionist, and I'm like, man, I did not appreciate this game first time going through it.
Okay.
I was so looking forward to the context, to the payoff, that I forgot to enjoy the journey and just realised that there was so much to this game. Because what it is, Jay, is I had completionist anxiety. Every time my
Dude.
character went one way, and
Dude.
I couldn't, mate, and I couldn't go back to see where the other route led to. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god, I can't deal with that. And it happened again and again and again and again and again. So I thought the game was huge, and I had missed so much of it because I kept doing these things where it was kind of a one-way system, and I didn't realize. And I was like, but what's on the other way? I want to know what the other way is. I want to get the chest. I want to get whatever it is there, collectible. But when I replayed through it and mopped up the collectibles, I realised that actually a lot of the game is designed like that, and I didn't miss hardly anything.
Mm.
So, and when I replayed and done all the collectibles, I realised and mapped out in my mind exactly how the game, is designed and is laid out, and it makes, I can manage it in my mind. I can manage it, and I really, really, really enjoyed completing it and collecting everything, and I enjoyed that more perhaps than actually playing through the game for whatever reason. So that was a really interesting experience for me where I was able to enjoy the game more doing the collectible mop up of it. Like I wasn't worried about certain things dying. You're not worried about what's around the corner because you've seen everything the game has to offer.
Yep.
And in that respect, I enjoyed it more second time round. So that was a really cool experience.
I'm gonna have a similar experience when I play FF7 again on hard.
Yeah.
I think because me knowing I'm finally gonna get the last trophies, I'm gonna be able to not have to worry about what's coming around the corner because I already know what's coming.
Yeah.
So I'm going to appreciate everything else more. And
Yeah.
it'll satisfy two things. It'll satisfy me appreciating the game more, being able to look around a bit more, and then also being able to complete it at the same time. Yeah. Now I'm going to get
Exactly.
exactly the same thing eventually, hopefully.
Exactly. It's
So,
so strange because I would say that's not applicable to games usually, but it is to this game at least, and my
yeah,
experience with it. And
yeah,
there's a secret ending that you unlock at the end, and I've
yeah.
got to
Ooh,
tell you, Jay, it
ooh.
just gave it. It was literally a 10-second image almost, and it filled the entire story for
Good.
me.
I love when that happens.
And I was like,
Just
oh my
one
god,
nugget of information was not there, but it finally gave it to you.
literally, and it just makes so much more sense now.
Yeah,
Like the
good.
whole
I'm glad.
game.
I'm glad. Was it satisfactory? The image.
Very,
Good.
very.
I'm
The
glad.
trophies do allude to
Oh,
some of
okay.
the story that's being told there, but the final secret ending image really is necessary. So I will finish my thoughts on that. And I
Mm,
can't remember, Jay, if we talked last week about this, but Resident Evil 3 reviews. Did we talk about this?
a little bit.
We did.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to say that I can't remember if we did. And I
Yeah.
wanted to say
Tiny
that
bit.
see I wanted to say that tell me if I've already said this, that it seems like it's been a bit of a miss.
Yeah. I know we did speak about it a little bit. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's fine. Cool, 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 cool. Okay, so mate, what are you playing?
Well, at the minute, I'm playing 13 again. And
Playing Final Fantasy 13.
yeah, it's weird coming back to it because I played up to a certain point the first time I played it, and now that I've played up to that point, and I've literally just this morning just passed that point.
Wow, so you've progressed pretty quick, mate.
Yeah, I've probably put about 30 hours in, and I'm like most of the way through. Um,
How do you sustain these endurance gaming
but
days?
it's weird because I actually feel like I haven't been playing it as much as I played seven.
Hmm.
I did 12 hours a day on seven, but I've only done about 6 or 7 hours a day on 13. So
Okay,
it's not as much, but it's still a good amount.
significant, yeah.
I'm surprised how much I've remembered over the last 10 years of this game. Like
Okay,
literally, I remembered every single chapter. Like from
okay.
start to where I am now, I've remembered every almost every detail. I'm so surprised that my mind was able to retain that information. It's kind of insane to be honest, but I'm glad it did because it sort of actually it gave me a nostalgic feeling, and I was very surprised. I was like, oh, I'm actually getting nostalgia off this right now.
Wow.
10 years. It's taken 10 years for me to get nostalgia off this game. It's insane.
Yeah, because in our minds, we completed it like a year ago.
I guess, but I actually got my first trophy in the game in 10 years. Like 10 years in a month.
Oh
So
my
I took a
god.
picture.
It came
Um,
out in March, didn't it? Was it
so
March?
so yeah, I took a picture. The game came out 2009.
Yeah,
The last trophy I got was on the 13th of March 2010,
yeah.
and the most recent trophy I now have is the 16th of April 2020.
That's so
So
weird.
it's taken me 10 years and a month, almost to the day, to get a new achievement on that game.
Dude, it's funny you say that because I did exactly the same thing with Skyrim. I was just
It's so
looking at my
creepy.
last. I did three main sessions with it. So I did 2011 when it was released,
Yeah,
and then I got a few achievements in 2016, apparently.
yeah,
And oh yeah, that when I first tried doing the DLCs, and then I've just finished up my last round. So it's so weird to look at.
yeah. 10 years. I'm so glad that the achievements it shows you the date when it was unlocked.
For sure, for
That's
sure.
such a weird, like, nostalgic thing. It's so nice to
Did you see
see.
how quickly you went through your first lot? You know how quickly you did the achievements first time round, as in 2009
Oh,
or 10.
yeah. I think it took about the same amount of time, probably like a week or so, maybe, or a few days.
Oh, okay, so you've got your first trophy from your new playthrough today.
Yeah, got it a
That's
little
cool.
while ago, and I'm hoping to get. I mean, the rest of the trophies are going to be a little bit more harder than that, but
Are you? You're not. I thought you were just doing a story from when we last spoke.
I
Are you
mean, I
doing?
am. But there's opportunity for me to do more if I want to.
Yeah,
I'm
like not
sort of like,
complete it, but do a bit more.
yeah, I'm gonna do the story, and then I'm gonna leave it because it's one of those games you can sort of travel around the world once you get to the end.
Yeah.
Almost like a chapter select, but kind of better. It's more like open world. So I'm gonna leave it at the end where I'm open to come back to it and grind if I need to. Essentially.
Did you do everything you wanted to in the linear, the linear 3/4 of the game or half of the game?
Yeah, no, I did exactly this. I've played the game. This is my third time going through it,
Yeah.
and I've done exactly the same that I've done in the last two. I've just now got to try and get past that barrier now.
Please to God, get past the barrier,
Oh no, I
Jay.
will. Although I'm fine. It's weird. The motivation is slightly lacking at the minute, but I think that's more to do with my mood than anything else.
Are you sure? Because if it's happened 3 times, Jay, I think it might be time to evaluate that as the game's fault.
No, I knew you were going to say that, and I'm kind of annoyed that you said it.
Okay.
Because that's definitely not it. I can tell you exactly why I stopped playing it before, and it was just like lack of motivation.
Yeah.
And I think it's more apparent now because I've completed 15, 7, and I'm now doing 13. Like my mind is having a bit of a
break through it, mate.
yeah.
Break
I've got to
through
get
it.
through that wall. I mean, it's weird. Like I woke up this morning thinking I don't want to play this game today, and then the moment I like put my head off of the pillow, I was like, I'm playing this game today. But it wasn't. It wasn't forced. It was literally like it took my mind. It took me pulling my head off of my pillow to be like, right, I'm actually going to play it today.
Yeah.
Like the moment my brain went from sleep to awake, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'll play it.
How far past are you the point that you do get?
Probably like 3 hours or so, maybe.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I basically got to like a boss battle, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. And I've now beaten that boss, and I'm like an hour past that. So
Fair.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm getting there. I'm looking forward to it actually
Is
because
that the commander guy?
oh, what Sid?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sid Reigns.
Yes, it got. Oh God.
So
Yeah.
I've
Sid
now
Reigns.
it's weird because now everything I see past this point I've never seen before. So now the last third of the game is all new to me.
Well, you seen? I assumed you've seen it online.
Yeah, I mean I've watched other people complete it before, just to sort of know what's going on.
Yeah, but you never actually played
I've
through it.
never played
Yeah,
it myself, so I'll be able to
that's
experience
interesting.
this. The
You play,
last part of this game is all completely new to me now.
are you playing on backwards compatibility?
I am, yeah. So actually, one thing I'm very confused about and I'm enjoying at the same time is that the game has 3 discs.
Go on.
Uh, they've allowed the backwards compatibility has
Yeah.
allowed you to only need the first disc. It basically downloads the last two
Oh,
discs for you.
that's so good.
So I've got saves that say disc one, disc two, disc three, but I've only actually had to use the first disc, and that's it.
Fantastic.
So
That's cool.
I'm glad I haven't had to change discs. That's all I'm glad about that.
How's it playing? How's it running?
You know what? I'm impressed with how it looks. It holds up well.
I told you, mate.
And it's the same as other Final Fantasies. The characters look very detailed, but the landmarks and everything else do not look that good.
I thought the backgrounds did look good.
I mean, they look fine,
Okay.
for the time, but for nowadays, they don't look good.
And how have you found it? How have you found your third playthrough of 13?
The combat I got right back into. I was like, right, I remember exactly what I have to do. I remember what all the paradigms do. No need to worry. I got back into that. Like my muscle memory from 10 years ago just kicked in. I was like, oh yes, this is good.
Yeah.
So I now know what to do with all the paradigms. I now know what to level up. I've done a little bit of research on what to level up first in terms of like my crystariums and everything. So just following the path and getting to the end. That's the main objective right now. And then as soon as I've done that, I'll go back to 7 hopefully.
How have you been? Oh, I guess yeah. There's nothing. I mean, yeah. How have you been enjoying the story and stuff and all that?
Yeah, no, it's all stuff I remember.
Fair enough.
There's definitely a few, like one or two details. I'm like, oh, I can't remember that bit, but it makes sense that would have happened. So
yeah, fair
I mean,
enough.
the story of 13 is confusing enough as it is.
So Jay? You've also been new MTG set. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, so Magic the Gathering is a card game.
Yeah.
But they also have a digital version.
Doorbell again. Apologies.
Yeah, they have a digital version where you can get all the cards online, right? And you can play against people online. It's called Magic the Gathering Arena, MTG Arena.
Magic have got a Hearthstone.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, like a Hearthstone or like a anything like that, I suppose. I'm trying to think what other ones there are. Yeah, so I've been playing that for the last like 2 years, on and off. Because whenever a new set comes out, I'll tend to play it for a little bit and then come off of it again and come back when I sort of get a bit more motivation to play it again.
How is it then?
Well, it comes out today at 6 o'clock, so I'll let you know.
Oh, okay, 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, so they have to update it and sort of apply patches and stuff to make it all work. So once it's out, I'll start playing it, and I'll. But I've been watching sort of videos today and yesterday, sort of preparing myself and studying the new cards and making sure I know what they do and stuff like that. So.
Have you still been playing? Is it Seven Deadly Sins?
Yeah, I've definitely slowed down on that a bit now. It's been a month and a half, so it's sort of it's getting a bit iffy now.
Yeah.
Like things can only last so long. Playing a game every day for a month and a half can get a bit draining. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, slowing down on that a little bit. They're also releasing stuff too quickly.
Okay.
Which basically means I have
too quick for the consumer almost.
Yeah, so it's not giving me enough time to get in-game currency to be able to get the characters I want to get because they're like limited runs essentially.
Yeah.
Like they only give you like either a month, 2 weeks, or 1 week to really get certain characters, and they're giving you 1 week on the most recent one, and I'm like empty on in-game currency, so I'd have to play it like every day, all day for me to get even close to even attaining them, but I can't do that because I'm playing Final Fantasy. So
is that what they want you to do then?
Yeah, they want you to play it all day basically, but I can't do that at the minute. So I'm sort of slowing down. I'm just logging in, getting the bonuses, and logging back off again.
Fair play.
Which I'm not too fussed about. I'm still enjoying the fact that it even exists, so I'm happy about that. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Jay, should we get into the news?
We certainly should.
Breaking news. That's my new intro for the section.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. A bit like Ron, what's his face, out of Anchorman or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I really find Will Ferrell that funny, but
I need to watch that again. It's been a while.
Okay, so thankfully, we've kind of talked half about one of these news stories earlier in terms of how much content is too much content. So, Jay, do you want to just talk about? You've got a couple of things you want to talk about news-wise.
Yeah, I'll talk about Cyberpunk first, then I suppose.
Sure.
So, Cyberpunk 2077.
New game coming out from CD Projekt Red, which is
probably one of the couple of games of my most anticipated of this year. One being Final Fantasy and the other being this.
Definitely.
Yeah, people are already talking about DLC about this game.
Stressful.
Which is insane, because hopefully the initial game is going to be big enough to last. I'm kind of worried it isn't going to be. To be honest, I'm kind of worried it's going to be like between 20 and 30.
Let me tell you right now, okay, from one friend to another.
Yeah.
Now, this game, right, I will bet a McDonald's takeaway delivery to your house. Okay?
Sure, that's
Feel free to write this down. Feel free to write this down.
Okay.
He's writing it down.
Yeah.
I bet a McDonald's takeaway that this game is at least everything included, side quests, apparently hunter missions, whatever you want to call them, is at least 50 hours.
Okay, that's good. I thought you were going to say 100 then. I was getting worried.
No.
I mean, I'm hoping it's like minimum 42. Like, minimum 40. Anything less than that, I'll be annoyed.
I think it will actually be more like 100 hours, to be honest
with
you.
What I was going to say is the DLC apparently for this game, because it's made by the same people who do Witcher, which is Project Red or whatever it is, right?
CD Projekt Red, yeah.
CD Projekt Red. They're saying that the DLC will be at least as long as Witcher 3 DLC. And the DLC for that game was around 40 hours.
Yeah, so there was 2 DLC packs for it, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine.
Yeah.
And Hearts of Stone was smaller. I think it's around 15. Blood and Wine's quite long, like 20, 25.
Yeah, so it was around 40 hours, which is quite promising because that means that the base game is at least that too, right?
Oh, mate,
You wouldn't imagine they'd release DLC that's bigger than the actual game itself, because it's obviously the DLC.
It's gonna be over 100 hours, mate.
I mean, it kind of sounds that way because if usually DLCs are a lot shorter than the main game because they have to, the game is obviously priced at a lot larger of a price, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if the DLC, I mean, I think it means DLC combined, right? Because I imagine if they multiple DLC, they don't want one. They're not going to. I mean, they could do this. They could just release one DLC that's 40 hours long.
No, because it might as well be another game then.
Exactly. I mean, they might as well release another game at that point. So hopefully, it's like between 2 and 3 DLCs that are between 12 and 15 hours each. I hope.
Yeah.
Do you? Good news. This is very good news. I'm happy about this. if they stick to what they are saying, then yes, I'll be happy.
Correct. Although I'm getting anxious about, again, me and you, completionists, like OCD mentality, I'm already stressing about how long this game's going to take me. But from a DLC point of view, it's great that they're already working on it. It's great that this game's going to have DLCs because I love great DLC. And like you, it sounds like the game's going to be huge. I just hope there aren't any missable achievements or really,
I'd say that's probably like our, if not mine and or yours, like biggest pet peeve when it comes to games nowadays.
Yeah.
Is missable trophies. Missable trophies are the bane of my existence. So they must be yours too.
Yeah, man. We talked about it last week, but like they're just the worst.
Like why would you ever put missable trophies in a game? Like it just makes it makes you feel like you haven't been a good enough of a player. Like what? Oh no, I didn't play the game right. Why would I play the rest of the game if I can't even do the initial part right? Oh no, I'm not going to buy the rest of your bloody DLC now. Like, come on, people!
Oh, dude, it's so bad. Like, do you know what it is though? As well, is that if it is for example, this game, I'm not going to look at anything online for it. I'm not going to look at trailers, so I'm going to play it blind, and I'm not going to check the achievements either because I don't want to see anything that will give the story away. So I'm going to play through the whole game, and if that fucking story is 60 hours long, and I find there's a missable achievement halfway through the story, I'm going to be livid.
Right, if there is a missable one, which there almost will be, I imagine there'll be some level of either chapter select and or free roam availability, right?
Yeah, or chapter select would be good. New game plus, maybe.
I think the most annoying version of missable trophies is having to play the game all the way through again and pick a different option.
Yeah.
Like where there's a game that gives you 2 or 3 options, right?
Yeah.
Which actually is the case in Final Fantasy VII, but I'm not too annoyed about it because you can chapter select, so it's a lot easier.
Way easier.
Yeah, that being there's a part in the game where you have to pick a dress for each of the female characters and as well as another character that I'm not going to mention because that'll spoil things.
Yeah.
But yeah, you basically have to do this thing where you have to say the right things in conversation previous to the mission happening for you to then have one of each of us possible 9 dresses. Right? So you basically have to do it in a certain order. So you've got to do these certain things in a certain order to get the first 3, and then in your second playthrough, the next 3, and then third playthrough, the last 3. So I've done
6 the 3 times.
Technically, but the second and third time you don't have to do. You can do by chapter select, so it doesn't take as long.
So the game saves the fact that you've done it through chapter select.
It does. It actually saves. So basically, yeah, there's like a profile save of everything you've done, and then there's individual saves of everything you've done after that point.
Okay.
Which makes things a lot easier. Which I'm hoping that they either do that to make it easier, or they don't have that at all, and they just let you play the game and get the bloody achievements.
Yeah.
I hate it when games do that. That really, I mean, I guess it makes for longevity and wanting to complete things, but just make it like I get that. There's supposed to be a challenge when it comes to games, but I'd like it if it was just slightly easier, please.
Well, it actually worked for Witcher 3's favour for my playthrough of it. So I loved it so much that I wanted to replay through it on the hardest difficulty, only because there is New Game Plus, which wasn't in at launch, and it makes it a lot easier to do that. And secondly, because I had glitched a few achievements,
Yeah,
a
that makes
few
sense.
key
Can I?
achievements.
I think it's a lot easier to find glitch achievements on Xbox than it is on PlayStation.
Is that right?
I
You think
think
that?
so. I think I've only ever come across a glitch achievement on PlayStation once in the last 6 or 7 years. But
Really?
I've probably come across 20 plus on Xbox. Easy. Like legit. I think Xbox has like
This
an issue
is
with things popping versus
this is a
PlayStation.
fascinating
I mean
revelation.
that could just be my experience rather than a general one, but I've found on PlayStation it is a lot easier for things to pop and for there to be
Since
no glitches.
since Xbox One, despite their attempts to improve the achievement system, such as progress tracking, which doesn't work for every game,
No, that's
I have
definitely bugs
found
there.
that achievements have been perhaps glitchier than ever. Not showing up when they're popping, not
Yeah,
popping at all,
yeah,
not popping because I've left the game on so long that it just and then gone on like Netflix and then gone back on the game. It's not registering like any achievement progression whatsoever. Um, and to be fair, every PlayStation game I play, the trophy pops immediately.
yeah. It's pretty
Well,
quick.
that wasn't a quick enough. That wasn't a satisfying enough click. Immediately,
Yeah, very quick. Whereas
like
Xbox, it tends to leave you hanging quite a while. Like sometimes it can be
yeah,
like 10 minutes.
yeah,
I've had days go by. Like legit, I've had like probably like I think there was a time where I had like a week or two, and it just popped in the middle of me playing it the next week, and I was like, "What the hell?"
yeah,
I didn't realize
100%,
I didn't even realize it hadn't popped. Like I just
hundred
thought it.
percent, dude. Sometimes I went on Gears 4, and it
Yeah,
would pop an achievement from 6 months ago that I should have got.
yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
It's
But yeah,
nuts.
I've never had that problem on PlayStation ever, ever, ever. It's never
Okay,
been more than 2 minutes.
I'm going to keep a close eye on
Yeah,
this. I'm
we'll
going to
track
keep it
that and we'll
close.
see how we do. Yeah, but in terms
This
of Cyberpunk, I think the future is looking good. I think this is much needed news in between now and when it comes out. It's a good like placeholder for the future, definitely.
for sure.
I think some people definitely were. I mean, people were worried about the game not being long enough, but now we know that the DLC is going to be just like it's going to be long enough that the game must be long enough. You know.
I would like to take this opportunity, Jay, to let you know and let everyone else know that Cyberpunk 2077 do not length is not what you need. The only thing you need to worry about is it being too long.
Yeah, I guess it's either yeah. The thing you need to worry about is too long, and I guess the quality of the actual game itself.
Correct.
As long as the game quality is good, and as long as the game isn't too long, then we're okay.
Like we said at the start, mate, doesn't matter if it's 20 hours. If the 20 hours you play is well, okay, it does matter a little bit because of the expectations. But my point is, if it's an exceptional 40 hours, it won't matter.
No, yeah, and I doubt there'll be any level of like end game or like too much of an end game experience,
No,
right?
I doubt it. I mean, like maybe some
But,
side missions, but
yeah, there
it's not
won't be
going to be
anything
like a.
like no daily challenges or anything.
I can't. I don't think so.
No
No.
Destiny level end game where there's like raid bosses. I mean,
No.
there's potential for that, but I doubt
There
they
is.
will because they've never done it. I mean, they didn't do it in Witcher, did they?
No.
Well, there you go
No.
then. Yeah, I don't think
Like
that'd
you
be too
said, they
much
could
more
if
of an
they
effort.
wanted to, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
no.
there. It's always a possibility, and we never know. They could just in the next month say, "Oh, by the way, we're going to be doing this."
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it would make it
Um,
cool, but yeah, different, I
so,
suppose.
and what's PSO2, mate? To the other news story you want to talk about?
Yeah, Fantasy Star Online.
Oh, right. By the way, sorry, the Cyberpunk DLC, is that straight from CD Projekt Red?
Yeah, I want to say so.
Okay.
During a
Let
Polish
me,
language meeting with investors,
yeah.
uh,
Oh, okay.
I don't want to say
Investor
the
meeting,
name.
yeah.
It's very difficult to say. Was asked about follow-on DLC for Cyberpunk 2077, which is set to be released on September 17th. He was asked how big the DLC will be,
Who
and they
reported
will
that?
be announced. IGN,
IGN, okay. All right, no worries.
IGN Poland specifically.
Yeah, okay. That's great. Thanks, mate. So,
Yeah,
yeah, Fantasy Star Online 2.
Yeah, so me and you probably will talk about this as a history dip in the future. But
Yes, we
Fantasy Star,
will.
Fantasy Star Universe was the one we played.
Yeah,
Was quite
yeah.
a large, was quite a helpful stepping stone in our RPG timeline. We could say,
It
right?
it was the 360 game.
Yeah, I think it was probably. I think it might have been like the second game I ever got on 360,
Probably, yeah. That and
or like the third.
Cat Cameo, right?
Yeah, Cameo was what came with it, and then Fantasy Star was like right after. I think I actually have Fantasy Star still. I wonder if that's backwards compatible because it is on Pro playing it. Yeah, the online never. I want to say it only came out in Japan and America. So I don't actually know if the online 2 is available in the UK or not.
I think it's coming out. I think that was a big reveal from Xbox's E3 presentation last year that it was
Yeah.
coming to North
So
America and
it's already out. It's out now, and it's free to play.
in England.
I don't. That's the part I don't know. I haven't like looked long enough to see, but I imagine it is. I think
Okay.
the only thing with it is it's free to play, but you can pay to have more things in game. Like there's a $30 and a $60 edition that you can buy to have extra things because it is an online game. It's basically like playing World of Warcraft. Um, so yeah, if it's out in the UK, that's amazing. But even it being out in the West at all is amazing at this point because people. I mean, it came out a long time ago. I think it was like 8 years ago it first came out. I want to say 2012. Yeah. So its initial release was 2012, and I think it only came out in Japan first time round, and then it came out a little bit after that Western.
Yes. So
Version.
the beta's finished and it launched. I think it looks like yesterday. They officially launched on Xbox One.
Yeah,
Fantasy Star Online 2.
yeah. So I might give that a go at some point, just to sort of
Mate,
see, because I liked Fantasy Star Universe, so I imagine I'll like this as well.
I'd love for you to give that a go. That was a really big reveal for people who like that sort of game at the E3 last year. So I'd love for you to check out and see what you think.
Thing is,
Because
what's good about this is because it's on Xbox One, we can both play it together
oh
potentially.
yeah, we could.
Yeah.
See,
So
because
we'll have to give
I
that a
wouldn't
go.
play that. I wouldn't play that by myself, but I'm more motivated when I've got someone else to play it
Yeah, I
with.
mean, I would play it by myself, but I'd also be more excited about it if I knew I was going to be, at
Yeah,
least
yeah,
getting some level of play out of it with someone else. So
yeah. We could do that maybe like a couple nights this week or something.
yeah, we'll have a look and see where we are with things. If we end up finishing a load of other stuff, we can come back to this and
We'll
because
have to see
it's
what I've got
obviously.
planned to play.
I was going to say, I imagine it coming back and the servers now being up and running again. I imagine it's going to be around for a little bit longer. I mean, it could be one of those games that was only around for a year, but even then, we'll still have enough time to play it for a little while. So
Oh no, I think it'll be around for a while because they obviously want to port it, so it's
yeah,
a big deal.
there was enough of an audience for it to be,
Yeah,
for it to come back. So yeah.
apparently so. Yeah.
Mm.
So Jay, let's move on
Mm.
to game quotes. So in this portion of the show, Jay has picked out, in this particular instance, me or Jay will pick out a game quote that we like the look of and want to talk about. So Jay has picked out one before, and he's picked out another today, which is
Yeah.
topical. It's from Lightning from Final Fantasy 13. So Jay, do you want to read out the quote and let me know why you picked it?
So yeah, the quote is, "It's not a question of can or can't. There are some things in life you just do,"
Great quote.
which is kind of like I feel like most people who are fans of this particular game will say this is like the main quote of the game.
Yeah,
It's the one that sort of brings certain characters together, I'd say.
yeah.
So it's definitely quite a standout moment in the story because you hear it sort of a few times.
I forgot about it until you put it in here.
Yeah, it's sort of. sort of like the run through thing. It sort of ties. I mean, there's a lot of decisions the characters have to make throughout the game, and Lightning being the sort of the main character, she sort of is obviously the leader essentially. So she sort of motivates the rest of the people and gets motivated by others to do the same thing. And she quotes this to the characters in the game, and they end up quoting it back to her, sort of reminding her of where they have to sort of continue on because they don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
What's going on? So I thought it was just like a nice thing.
What do you think it means, mate?
Well, in context of the story, it sort of just helps remind the characters that they don't really have much of a choice in their current situation, but they could obviously use it in other situations just to be able to do things that they may or may not want to do. I mean, I don't think. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. I think for some people, you could, take it into your own life because I feel like with most Eastern entertainment, there's always some sort of moral or some sort of lesson that the creators want you to learn, or some sort of thing they want you to take. And I think from this one, they want you to just say, don't be lazy. Essentially, get on with what you need to be doing and make sure you go for what your dreams or whatever.
Yes,
Don't
it's
sit
interesting
around
because
doing nothing.
I think there's a few ways you could read this quote.
Oh,
You could
definitely.
read it as, it's not a question of wanting to do it; it's a question of I have to do it.
Yeah.
But then I saw it when I first read it again on the dock. I read it as it comes so naturally to you. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Like Lightning being a soldier. She doesn't think about it. She just is one.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of the game. Actually, is her sort of coming to the realization that she's not like it's now part of her history, but she can use it or not use that part of herself to her benefit.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
definitely a big part of it.
And then I also saw it as a kind of you haven't got a choice in the matter. You have to do it.
Mm.
Like kind of like them saving, trying to save themselves and save their families. It's kind of it's not a question of can we, it's a question of we have to try or
Yeah,
do.
because nobody else is going to as well.
Exactly.
Like, they're the only ones. They've literally been handpicked by the VII to get this done. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. But it's a great quote
Mm.
that you've picked out there, and
I feel
it
like there
does.
aren't that many really in 13. There aren't that many that stand out as much as this one. I don't think.
Oh, for sure. But it probably is one of the taglines of the game.
Yeah, I think it was very intentional. This one, it's mentioned a lot. So
For sure, for sure.
yeah.
I mean, you could have always just, for Final Fantasy X, you always could have just put ha 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 ha.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Jesus Christ. Yeah. No, I forgot
You know
about
what
that.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
Oh
I do.
God. Oh. I take the mick. I'm not actually that bothered by it, but
No.
Jay, is there anything else you want to discuss or comment on with this quote?
Not really. Just that I guess this is one of the things I even think about in real life. Just like there's definitely a lot of things I have to do, but whether I want to do them is the other is difficult to decide. Having to decide
Yeah.
certain things.
I look, to be fair, I do look at that quote as a representation of us wanting to or playing video games. It's not a question of can we play video games or can we not play video games. It's a question of we just do play video games.
Yeah, I guess you can look at it like that. Yeah, sure. I think that's
Uh,
like there's a serious way of looking at it and a non-serious way of looking at it. I suppose. Isn't it?
for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jay,
Yes.
it's time for history debt.
Well, okay. Which one are we doing? Because we've got so many now. Like I feel like this
So many,
literally could just be called history dip
so
because
many.
everything we talk about is primarily the past.
So, do you mind if we not do the first one
Yeah, that's fine.
because it's huge? I would like to talk about 2 and 3, and I think we can fit 4 in.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Okay. To be fair, best game moments could be a whole topic of the show. To be fair,
Yeah, exactly.
so I don't. Do you mind, Jay? So I've numbered the second game we're talking about. today is Battleborn, and I've never really played Battleborn significantly, so I'd like for you to elaborate on that one. But
So
for
yeah, I
the
could actually. Yeah, go on.
well, I was just going to say, but I was just going to want to talk about Max Payne 3 first. But do you want to talk about Battleborn first?
Yeah, I mean, so I could actually include this in the game that I put a lot of time into.
Okay.
Because
Really?
Battleborn is an arena kind of like it's almost like League of Legends in that there's lanes and then there's like towers that you have to destroy to be able to get to the main sort of base, as it were. So it's almost a little bit like Halo Wars as well,
Yeah.
where there's like units that come along, and then you can either kill the units and or the player controlled heroes essentially.
So
To
is
get
it
to the
wasn't it
base quicker.
wasn't it PvE and PvP?
Yeah, so you could either do it against the AI or you could do it with people online.
But it was the same same mode essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. Like there was like lanes you had to get to, and then you could go down and it was whoever got to the main base first, essentially. Whoever like destroyed the main base. The PVE was a mixture of campaign and or the PvP, but with AI rather than with real people. The
Okay.
campaign I enjoyed a lot. It was just fun to do, and you could unlock things that you could use in PvP, i.e., basically just like new abilities essentially for the heroes or the characters that you use, which
Yeah.
was good. I had to. That was more of like a doing that, so you had a more of an advantage in PvP, I suppose. But yeah, the PvP was definitely the main aspect of this game for me. Um, yeah, I just it's weird. Like it was made by Gearbox.
Yeah, so this is Gearbox's, for the people who made Borderlands, this is the game in between Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
And it launched as far as I can remember on the same day as Overwatch, and not a great time to launch two very similar games, especially one which ended up being one of the most popular games in recent memory, Overwatch. So it's intriguing that you played this game significantly at all. So yeah, sorry, continue.
So Overwatch came out 2015,
Yeah.
and Battleborn came out 2016.
Oh, okay, I'm with you. My apologies.
So they were,
Really?
they were
Is that
still
right?
fairly close up. I think it was like a 5 or 6 months gap.
Whoa, what?
So 27th of October for Overwatch 2015, and then May 2016 for Battleborn.
Really?
Yeah, so it's about 6 months difference.
Was it Overwatch's console release?
Uh,
I
what do you
swear
mean?
they launched on the same day.
No,
It says both launched in May on this website.
I don't know. What to tell you?
Oh, sorry, you can carry on.
Yeah, so Battleborn it didn't do very well. I could always tell that it definitely wasn't as large as other things around it. But for me, like it was probably more enjoyable for me. Actually, I'd say. I think I
Yeah,
actually
console
enjoyed
release May
playing.
2016.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, I would say I actually enjoyed my time on Battleborn more than I did Overwatch. I just think the gameplay was slightly better.
Were you annoyed then at that a lot of players weren't playing it?
It stuck around for quite a while, actually. I want to say it stuck around for maybe like 2 years, which isn't
And you
massively long, but I think I played it for like most of that time, probably about a year and a half of that time.
and you enjoyed it.
I really did. I think I played it for like a year, left it for about a month or two, and then came back to it again.
What was it
Uh,
about the game that you enjoyed then?
I think it was the progression of the characters. There was quite a intense progression, like to get from you basically could like essentially master a character, and the
Okay.
further along you got with the character, the better the character got essentially.
Yeah.
So the longer you stuck out with one character, the better you could play and the better you got. And I think that progression system really, really helped it live for as long as it did. And weirdly, it's kind of hard to explain it. It kind of felt nice, like the feeling of the game had a really satisfying feel to it. It's really hard to like explain that, but like it was
I think it
very,
was a satisfying game to play.
it really was. Yeah, it's just very
Yeah.
satisfying. Like the feeling of it and the
Are
overall look
you
of it was. It
are
felt
you
kind of Borderlandsy as well.
Are you frustrated that it was a bit of a flop financially and that you'll probably never get a sequel?
Not necessarily. I think it's one of those games that kind of had its time, and it's okay. I mean, I did eventually get bored of it, but I think I actually got bored of it more because of people weren't playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think it sort of got to the point where I'd mastered maybe one or two characters, and I was happy with. I think I was done with it. Really, I think I sort of it had its time. It had successfully, fulfilled what I wanted out of it. So,
Yeah. Okay, cool.
so you
Well,
never played this then?
I played the demo, which was like one level, and I played as the guy
Okay.
with the red sword or something. And
He's like the worst character, but alright.
yeah, I thought it was because I was like, this don't feel
Well,
right.
he's actually like a good character, but he's just very boring. He's very plain. Just a guy with two swords, pretty much.
Yeah, I didn't. It wasn't for me.
Mm.
But a game that was for me was Max Payne 3.
Certainly was. That's very
So
up your street.
yeah, so me and my brother
Up your
got Max
stress.
Payne 1 on OG Xbox. I think we got Max Payne 2 on PS2. Never played 3. Always saw it on the shelf in the shop, and I was like, oh, they did a third one? Oh, I
I
didn't know that.
think I played 1 and 3, but not 2.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I think I missed
Two's more. I think two's like an extension of one, essentially. But
it. Yeah.
um, 3 was an interesting one because 3 went under the radar. Let alone the fact that Rockstar bought the IP and developed the game.
Yeah, that
Had
improved a lot.
no
Improved it a lot.
had no idea. So I'm going through my huge back catalogue of games that I missed on the 360 generation, right?
Mm.
So through uni, I had a little catch-up period where I played every significant game that I missed,
Yeah.
and this was one of those games. So I start playing it, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this game's incredible!"
It is amazing. I
Right?
think it probably still holds up, right?
Yeah, hundred
Yeah, I
percent,
still have it. I'm tempted to actually play it again just to sort of
dude.
see.
Just like the whole experience that the cinematics provide
Yeah,
of
no, they are good,
him
aren't
drinking and drugs and the music, and it all molds together to create this intoxication of a Max Payne experience where you're not even sure if like what's actually happening is real,
they?
but
Mm.
it's not unrealistic. Everything is super realistic and super dark, but it just provides this experience where by the end of it, you just think like that was incredible.
Yeah.
The delivery of the actors, it's just a superb. The gameplay is super tight. Bullet time is as fun as ever, if not more fun. I was just so surprised by how good this game is, and nobody talks about it. I
Yeah,
was so shocked.
I think it's been long enough for me now to actually forget all that stuff. So I think if I went back to it now, I probably would experience all that again. Yeah, definitely.
Dude, I think you could do at least a couple of playthroughs, not
I
only because
can't.
there's different difficulty levels, but you can also do New York Minute, which is like a kill enemies to you're on a time limit, but if when you kill enemies, it increases the time limit type thing,
Yeah,
which is stressful.
I think I got to that point. I can't remember if I did the hard playthrough or not. I definitely remember trying it.
I
I don't
think
remember.
I
I don't
did
remember
it.
finishing it. Yeah.
I struggled. I did a
So
collectible mop up for
it
sure.
is one of those games that's extremely linear, though, isn't it? It's like a very start and finish type game, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, third person shooter,
Yeah.
very linear,
Like
chapter
chapters.
select.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. A lot
uh,
like. Actually, I might put this in the history tip for another time. Um, Mafia.
oh, Mafia 2.
Mafia 2 specifically. I tell you
Oh,
what, one game that still I haven't done is Mafia 3, and I've started that game twice and just have not been able to do anything.
they do it, mate. I've not heard this. I've heard it's not great.
Yes, Mafia 2 was such a I don't know. It's very unique for me at least.
Oh, mate, Mafia 2 was again one of the most underrated games of last
I think
generation.
part of the reason why I haven't been able to do very well in Mafia 3, or even like get past the first 10 minutes, literally, is that the achievements of it looks like it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason. It's the achievements look a bit difficult, and it's one of those ones where you have to come back and make just different decisions.
Oh,
So you've got
God.
to play it
What?
at least twice.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think one playthrough is going to be enough for me, so I don't really want to even attempt it.
Yeah, I mean, play if you want, mate. Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously. But
I might. I'll be one of those
I
ones that
would
I'll probably never do, but there we go.
I would highly recommend playing through Max Payne 3 though.
Yeah,
Yeah, the just And they moved it all to Brazil, and it was like a whole new image for Max Payne with like a Hawaiian shirt, and it works so well.
That aspect of it I really liked because I think I remember the first Max Payne being very dark and like black
Snowy
leather
New York,
jacket and just
yeah,
sort of almost like Sin City, the film Sin City. It sort of
yeah,
felt like that to me, like all black and white kind of.
exactly, yeah, like
Uh,
snowy New
Whereas,
York, dark.
which I think with Max Payne 3 they went the complete opposite, and it's so vibrant, and colourful. Like it is.
Yeah,
I loved. I think the thing that brought me to Max Payne 3 was the aesthetic of the cover. Like it felt so Rockstar to me.
yes,
Like even the artwork for it is just like, oh, this is a Rockstar game. Like you can just tell instantly. Like
100%.
you could literally just have the artwork and give it to like 10 different gamers and be like, right, who made this game? I reckon most of them would say Rockstar because it is Rockstar. Like you can just tell from the front.
100%.
Yeah, that art
100%.
is just so. Oh man, I'm looking at it right now. Oh man, it looks so good.
It completely floored me with how good it was, especially again considering nobody talks about it.
Tell you what,
You know,
I'm surprised they haven't done a reboot of Max Payne.
well, here's the thing: where's Max Payne 4?
I don't
I
think they.
want it.
I tell you what, I don't think they should even call it 4. I think they should just call it Max Payne and like maybe a subtitle
Definitely,
and
definitely.
reboot the whole thing, but make it still Rockstar. I reckon we actually need to talk about this potentially next week as well. But the new GTA is in development,
Yes.
so I don't think Max Payne 4 is coming anytime soon. But
No, I don't think Max Payne 3 was a big enough commercial hit.
or maybe they're
Uh,
actually getting ready for 4 now. I don't know. Maybe they've finished it and they're like waiting to release
it
it.
I could be wrong about. Yeah, we should talk about this next week because this is a whole discussion of Rockstar's release plan. But from what I can tell, it's pretty much a let's focus on one game for 5 years and then just release that kind
Yeah,
of. Where they did go through a period where they were releasing 2-3 games a year, with like a kind of main studio work. You know, like you had GTA 4, and then you had like Bully in there, and then you had Max Payne 3 in there, and then you had GTA 5, and then like nothing, and
yeah.
then Red Dead 2.
I mean,
Oh, and then you
Bully.
had Red Dead
Yeah,
1 after GTA 4 as well.
true. Red Dead. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
had you had quite a few Rockstar games coming out, and now it's just kind of like a let's hunker down, do this, release it, hunker down, do this. But to be fair, when they've got so much online, anyway, well, yeah, let's um, leave it for another time if that's all right, Jay.
Certainly.
We can leave it for next week, unless you want to talk about it. Do you want to talk about it?
No, I think we can leave that. I think they'll probably, hopefully, there'll be some more news on that, just to maybe give it a little bit more beef. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
that
was.
might be one of those ones that we just sort of follow up until it comes out. That could literally be like a 3 or 4 year venture.
That's so true.
That could
So
literally go on forever. So
yeah. So I mean, yeah, I think I've spoken enough about Max Payne 3. So just to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, you can write into the TGO show at
mm,
contact@thegameopinion.co.uk. It's
mm.
spelled exactly how it should be. And to finish off this week's show, Jay, what are you going to be playing this week
So
slash next
yeah,
week?
it'll probably be finishing off 13. I mean, I'm getting to the point in the game now where I have to decide whether I want to do the grinding sooner rather than later, or just wait until after the game I do it. So I'll decide when I get there, more than likely, and then yeah, once that's over, I'll try and finish 7. And I'm actually kind of excited about going back to 7 at this point.
What's the plan for 7? Are you going to mop up a few you can do the whole hard playthrough? What's the
So
plan?
yeah, I'll finish the hard challenges because I'm basically max level. I'm like level 48, so I've got 2 more levels to go. I'll finish those because there's some more strategy videos out now, so I should be able to grind for that at least a little bit, and then I'll probably either slowly or like just really like go through the hard as best I can because I know that some of those boss battles are going to be so difficult on hard, man.
Fair.
I will say the game is very easy on easy, like extremely easy, and I'm
Isn't
glad
there
it
only
was.
is it only
That helped.
normal and then hard,
I think is there a normal? I
or
don't
is it,
know.
or
I
is it
think
just
there's.
easy and then hard?
I think potentially, yeah.
Okay.
I might have to check that, but yeah. I mean, I've tried hard a little bit, and it is quite difficult. So
Yeah. Okay.
whether
And
that
13, for what it's worth, I would say complete it and then worry about any grinding for fear that you may be put off.
I mean, I might even like just finish 13, finish 7, and then come back to 13 again. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Just whatever I'm in the mood for, you know.
What any? Do you think you'll have a short, a gaming break if you lose motivation for either of these games? Maybe just take some time out, do some other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to be playing the new set for Magic the Gathering on MTGA. So that'll probably be my breather, I suppose, just as something different entirely. Because I know I'm probably not going to play that for too long, so that'll probably just be like a nice little break in between Final Fantasies. I don't know.
I doubt this, but there is a perspective out there that says that we may not get another AAA release until September this year.
Oh, what at all? You mean?
Yeah, depending on
Yeah. So
digital
the first
distribution.
one is going to be Cyberpunk, right? On 17th.
Yeah, for sure. But what I mean is, games that were scheduled have now been delayed, i.e., Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
So will will Cyberpunk launch, I guess, on time?
I mean, they're from what I've seen, it looks like they're sticking to it. So
Yeah.
hope so. I mean, 7
So yeah,
managed to do it, so you know,
true. They
did a really good job at that actually.
I'm looking forward to Cyberpunk being the first significant release for us of the year in terms of length, because it gives us enough time to finish off almost everything else we want to do in
Yeah.
terms of gaming. I think anyway. By the
And
time it reaches,
Cyberpunk is actually going to have a massive decision on whether I get the PS5 or the Xbox Series X first.
depending on the next gen version.
PlayStation don't say anything about it being available on next gen for free if you've bought it on the previous gen, then I'm probably gonna have to go with the Xbox first.
Game changer.
It's a big
Game
fork in
changer.
the road. It really is. I'm at the fork in the road right now, and Cyberpunk is calling me over. So yeah.
I thought you were going to buy both anyway. Are you just going to buy the
I mean, I
Xbox first and
am,
then?
but I think it'll probably one before the other. I mean, I need to see the prices first. Though. I need to see prices.
Jay, you know what, Jay? Let's just go on a tangent here.
Sure.
Where's the new? Are you? I just want to see them. I just want to know how much they're going to cost. Like, it's April, dude. Like,
No,
if
it's
they're
gonna
going
be
to
a
come out,
while.
I just want to know now. We've been talking about it for so. I mean, me and you haven't, but everyone else has been talking about it for so long now. Can we just see them?
I mean, we've seen one. We should see the other.
True, but we haven't had a deep dive into the Xbox. I want to see it on stage. I want to, I want to see how it works. I want to see the UI.
I feel like we would have got that at E3, right?
Yeah, I think so,
So
mate.
we've still
Yeah,
got time. I reckon in July they'll have recorded their own press conference, like an
yeah,
E3 style conference, like PlayStation did with their releasing of their information. I reckon they'll do that, and then we'll have all the information in July, more than likely.
you sound very patient with it. You sound
Oh
like you're
no,
just
you have to be nowadays, man. Like you really
fair
do.
enough.
Like you can't let this stuff weigh on you. You have to forget about it and then be surprised when it
Yeah,
does come around. Because then it's a much nicer feeling being surprised by something like that than it is constantly waiting for it. You know, like watching the
100%,
kettle boil is going to take so much longer than not. So
100%. I'm usually like you 99% of the time, Jay. A few subjects, topics, wants, desires does get me, and the new console reveal is starting to get to me now.
yeah, I'm a bit annoyed I haven't seen the 5 yet.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need to see
I'm getting
it.
a bit. I'm getting it because it's dominating every podcast I listen to, and we still haven't seen it, and I'm just getting a bit frustrated now
Yeah,
with
it's
it.
going to be a while. It's going to be a while, I think.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the earliest I'd say July.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine because then I can just put that in the back of my mind. Then, if you think that it's going to be that long, that's fine. I'm now going to consider it a significant wait and not keep my hopes up that it's going to be revealed next week.
Dude, people have been waiting for Final Fantasy VII for 23 years. I think we can wait a little bit longer for this.
Fair play. Fair play.
Yeah,
So end of this week, Jay. Hopefully tomorrow, I'm going to finish Skyrim, and
yeah.
that's a
So what
huge
day is it? It's Thursday today, and
Thursday
I'm
today.
guessing Fallen Order has arrived, has it?
Fallen Order arrived on Tuesday.
That's what I thought. Yeah, see, if I was you, I would have stopped playing Skyrim.
Really?
No, I mean, it depends. I'm not you, so, But
Look, mate, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but I just, like you said, I've waited X amount of months for
yeah,
Fallen
that's
Order.
true.
I can wait a
True.
few days longer.
You can wait a few days longer. That's very true.
I just wanted to mop up Skyrim because then I can get rid of my 360,
I
which
feel
is
like
in my.
it's a lot nicer having a game like literally ready the next second. The second after you finish
Oh,
Skyrim, it's going to be right there. So
dude, when I'm level 77 and I've got one more level, I'll start installing Fallen Order. You
I
know.
was going to say, I was about to ask, have you installed it yet?
Yeah, for sure. I am. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
it. But
good.
I can't tell you how much relief I'm going to feel once I finish Skyrim because that is basically a 10-year venture that I'm going to finally finish in
I
terms of
will say,
achievements.
Fallen Order is a very satisfying trophy list to go through, or achievement list to go through.
Oh, dude, I can't wait.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's very nice.
I can't wait. Yeah, and I also can't wait to. I think I'm going to get the Modern Warfare 2 campaign remaster when it comes to Xbox at the end of the month.
Really?
And yeah, I think I am
Okay.
because I just kind of want to go through it and then just be done with it in a few days and then just have that experience.
Yeah.
Like I know it's only the campaign and it's probably quite expensive, but I'm not spending my money on anything else in particular at the moment. And I do want to play through that campaign again. And it's a short venture for the most part. It's not 20 hours long.
Okay. So you're willing to spend, what is it, like 20 quid?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just not spending my money on anything else.
Have you looked? See if there's anything else you're missing?
Yeah, yeah,
Any
just
games?
yeah, definitely not Doom Eternal. But that's 50 quid. So
Sure. Have you played Kingdom Hearts 3 yet?
no, but I want to go through that whole franchise.
Yeah, you say that. I didn't feel the need too much.
Fair,
I think you'd be surprised at how much
really.
you don't need to play 1 and 2 to appreciate 3.
Oh, sure. I do. I kind of just want to though, because I never played
Yeah,
two. I
I
never
know what you
finished
mean.
one.
I mean, you have a PS3?
No,
No. Have you
PS4.
bought the collection?
No, and it
Oh,
was on
okay.
sale for like 20 or 30 quid the other month, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
no, should have
I
got
was
it
going to say
all.
you could either get the collection. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can't remember if I told you this. Basically, mate, Kingdom Hearts 3, first Kingdom Hearts game to come out on Xbox,
Yeah.
and then I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember if I told you this, but all the collections and remixes and stuff never came to Xbox
Yeah. True.
until now. They were launched on Xbox like a month ago.
Yeah.
What, like a year after the first like Kingdom Hearts 3? What I'm trying to say is it makes no sense. Why not give Xbox fans the chance to play through all of the first games before 3 comes out? But they didn't. Anyway,
Yeah, that is
they've
odd. They
now
probably would have made a good amount of money if they had.
exactly.
Yeah.
They've done it now, so
Yeah.
they've got 1.5, 2.5, and 2.8, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So I'm now going to wait for them to release the all-in-one package, which they will on Xbox, which is every Kingdom Hearts game ever released,
Yeah.
and I'll probably get that.
Okay. I mean, you are going to miss out on quite a few Kingdom Hearts games though, because they
Well,
only came out on like I think one is a mobile only one is a DS only, one is a PSP only.
yeah.
So
So
there's
so
going to be a few you're going to miss, but I don't think you
these
worry too much about those.
these remixes, they've got all the remastered versions of all those weird games in them.
I don't think they have them all. Do they don't have like the DS and the mobile and the
Yeah,
PlayStation or the PSP
they
ones, do
do.
they?
Yeah, they do.
Oh,
They
okay,
actually redid the DS one with 3D graphics, I think.
fair enough.
Yeah, check it out, dude. I think you'd like the look
To
of
be
the characters.
honest, I think like with previous Final Fantasy, some Final Fantasy, I think Kingdom Hearts is actually too big of a thing for me to go back and actually concentrate on now. I've tried like figuring out the history of it, and it's just so in depth. It's actually,
Oh,
I mean,
it's so confusing.
it's very yeah. Like it made playing the third one. It I knew enough for me to enjoy it, but you need to know a lot, like a lot,
For
like
sure.
more than Final Fantasy 13 a lot, like more than
Maybe
Final Fantasy 7 a lot. Like, that's a lot, a lot. Like it's probably like 7, 13, and 15 combined with more a lot.
I think you're right. I
Like
think you're
it's
right.
a ton. It didn't take me. I mean, it probably took me like I don't know. 6 or 7 hours.
Maybe I'll just leave the memory of playing the first game in my mind, and I'll just never touch them again. Maybe that's the best way forward.
I feel like it's difficult to actually get the story from the old games nowadays. It's like you kind of have to read it almost.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it might even be worth just playing it and then reading it after, and then you might actually be able to like get it all in.
No, sure. I guess I'm just wondering if the games are even good enough at this point, and like that's going to be a 200-hour investment of my
If
life.
not more.
So, am I really going to enjoy it that much? Probably not.
Just to be able to play 3.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I mean, yeah, I don't want to like spoil your experience, so you can do, how you see
No, I
fit.
appreciate your input, man.
Yeah, no, I think I definitely would have done what you want to do, but at the time I had 3, and I was like, well, I might as well just play it now while I'm
Yeah,
here.
fair play.
If you
Yeah,
haven't bought 3, then don't worry about it. But yeah,
I haven't.
yeah,
But it
I
is
see.
on Game Pass.
I'd already pre-ordered it, so I was
Fair.
like, it's a bit of a waste if I don't play it now.
Yeah, no, fair. I can hear your judgment in your voice, Jay, of me buying the Modern Warfare 2 remaster. So
No,
do you think
there's
that's a good
there's no
buy?
massive judgment. It's just like I feel like you could probably save that money and use it for something that you could probably have a better time with. I
See,
think.
I think you're underestimating how much I really want to play that campaign.
I mean, yeah, I guess yeah. I don't know. There must be something else that you have like are
But
looking
to be
forward
fair,
to,
mate,
or of what to
but
play more.
But to be fair, almost every game I buy is cheaper than the launch price or on sale. Like literally everything I've bought in the last 4 years. The only 2 games that I've bought brand new in the last 5 years is Doom 2016 because I was reviewing it.
Sure.
Is Red Dead 2 because it's Red Dead 2,
Yeah,
and
sure.
Shadow of Mordor because I had the money and I had nothing else to play. That's the first the first Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor, not Shadow of War.
You must be a lot better at saving your money than I am, then.
I just find that I've got so much to play that again I don't need to buy any new games because I'm already playing through them basically.
Yeah, I guess
But
that's true.
so in that respect, all I'm trying to say is that I kind of want to treat myself to a 20 quid, campaign which will just come out, and I never really buy games that just come out kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I can definitely see the appeal. I'd say Modern Warfare 2 campaign is probably one of the better Call of Duty campaigns. So if you're gonna ever play one, then that would be the one to do. Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is where getting free game codes would be really useful for me and you because I could just play through that from a game. Activision just like, oh, you're a spokesperson for someone. Oh, here's a free code for Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, and I'll just like, yeah, nice one. I'll blitz through that. Thank you very much. Like
Yeah.
some games you'll play if you get given the chance to play them for free. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I see.
But
Yeah.
some games I look at, I'm like, there's no way I'm touching that. But if I do, if I got early access for free, I probably would actually try it out.
Yeah, I feel like that with some movies. I'm like, I would never pay money to go see that at the cinema. So if someone gave it to me for free, I'd be like, yeah, I'll watch that on like a Sunday afternoon, whatever.
Really?
Yeah, there's so many like that. I've watched so many. That's the thing. I've actually been pleasantly surprised like that though. There's been a few films where I'm like, I would never touch that with a bloody 10-foot pole, but then I actually watch it, or maybe it's like free on Netflix or whatever, or it's on Netflix. I'm like, oh, I probably should have gone to see that in the cinema because I would have enjoyed it. But
Mate, I love the fact you said Sunday afternoon because that is also my prime movie watch time.
I
I
can't watch
love the fact you
movies.
said that.
I'd say my prime movie time is like evening. It's like after tea,
Yeah.
before bed. Like that's the perfect time to watch a
I,
film.
I have to agree, although I have watched films in the morning and stuff, but unless it's a morning film, like Shrek maybe, I just can't justify like watching Goodfellas at 11 o'clock and during the day. Like it doesn't feel right.
I do that sometimes. There'll be like a few films that I've got lined up, like 3 or 4 lined up, and I'll start in the morning and finish in the evening.
Fair. Fair.
Sometimes, very rare. Like maybe once every 3 or 4 months, I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
Jay, thank you very much for your time and
Yeah,
contributions. I appreciate it.
been
Ladies
good.
and gentlemen, slash Jay's dad,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you very much for listening to the TGO show. This is a weekly show for now. And I think it's about time we go eat or play games.
Yeah, let's go play some games.
Yeah, man. Oh my god, I want to finish Skyrim so bad. I haven't played it yet today. I've been
Wow,
so
wow, that's
busy.
weird.
Oh, so frustrating. I literally put Jay. Last thing, right? I
Mm.
have not played like this in 10 years. I played Skyrim for like 12 hours straight yesterday.
Yeah, no, that's what I did with Final Fantasy. Just played it for like 12 hours.
Dude, I haven't played like that since 13 years old in summer holidays.
Oh wow, no, I've done it a lot since then.
Fair, fair,
Yeah,
fair.
I guess
Yeah, all
just
right.
whether you put the time in, isn't it? That's the thing.
I'll just yeah, mate. Just never had the time really because we live away now. It's like every weekend is traveling.